Hey Jen, hey Jen.
Hello. All right, we're live. Big up everyone. We're here for part two of our discussion with Mountain Eagle. We're just wait for him to come through. Hopefully everything's okay. And yeah, we have a bunch of stuff to discuss. So we could get into that.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at yet. I sent him a link. I told him to click it. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of time, and then I'm gonna call him see if I'm comfortable. But I was texting him just now. He's ready to go. So yeah, but I'm through translating.
Okay.
So you know, you another plane.
We got you. Hold it down. So yeah, I wanna just get into a little of the history of his tribe and have him explain some things like how was it, how was the reservation, like how many people there were there, like how, like, did it work with, I don't know, certain government, like what was their agreement or whatever, and then like how their schools were they like government schools, were they tribe schools, were they, like just certain things like that, like just in general, and about the, the identity of the Washoe people, because the deals that they did like with the government were, they're so old. I don't know if they get updated, like, are they still running on like 100-year-old legislation or whatever, you know? Or that's what probably he's trying to do, as far as making that document and stuff. Good evening, Dr. Mason. So yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I could play something while we're waiting. I kind of want to play that McFadden, that what they didn't teach you on school thing. Should we play it?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to play the McFadden one, that would be good.
See if I can find it. There was like a short one and then a longer one. What was the guy's name? Ray, or what was his name first?
Ray
Ray,
Fadden,
right?
Ray Fadden,
Yeah. Oh,
Ray
Fad.
Fadden.
Oh, just Fadden.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There he is. There
You
he
can play the
is.
shorter one, and then we still have more time to play the longer one. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Wait till I get through the ads. All right. Why did I press that? All right. So I'm gonna play this video while we're waiting for Mountain Eagle to come through.
Every race, and this is important that people get this, especially young people, every race, with no exception, has contributed to the civilization that we live in today. The black man has contributed. Don't think he hasn't. He's made magnificent contributions, in spite of the uphill fight these people have had to take because of their dark skins. There's even some archaeological evidence that they were among the first people to make iron. That coffee you drank this morning, my favorite drink, was a gift to those people, the black race. I don't know how the Indians got along without it. Do you know who invented blood transfusion? A black man invented blood transfusion. That man saved thousands of lives, maybe millions of lives. But how many people know that a black man invented that? Do you know how he died? They say he died. He got in an automobile accident, lost a lot of blood, was rushed to a hospital, and they wouldn't let him in because they said he was a nigger. And he bled to death. The yellow race has made great contributions to this civilization. Their culture was very ancient. The white man has made wonderful contributions, and so have the red men of America, the Indian. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has the right to say to any other people, this is my civilization. Everybody has the right to say, this is our civilization. It's like a big kettle of stew. It doesn't just have onions in that stew to make it taste good. There are many things in that stew, gifts of every race in the world to make it what it is today, our present day civilization. Now, when I was a little boy going to school, a long, long time ago, I hate to think of how many years ago, at that time, they taught very little about Indians in school. But sadly, at that time, always bad, always. Well, I remember it. I remember
Hey,
that
Jen, hey, you mind checking backstage? You mind checking backstage for Mount Eagle?
arithmetic grammar, but I do remember
Yeah,
three
it's not
statements
there
she had
yet.
to say about
I'm
Indians. Is
watching.
she serious? The only good Indian is a
He
dead
keeps
Indian.
saying that he did it, and he
Indians
keeps
are
getting kicked
serious.
out.
The
He
white
keeps,
man
I don't know what he's talking about.
physically and mentally. Indians are
There's no one backstage, so maybe did we send them the right link? Let me try to send. I don't know. It's gonna be the same as the last one.
like little children. They never think of the future. They just live from day to day without one thought of what's going to happen tomorrow. And I take a look at what the white man has done to this once beautiful land in the short time he's been here. And you can tell that to children at school, think about it. I became a teacher too, a science teacher. It takes from 300 to 10,000 years, that long, depending upon the location, for one little inch of topsoil to form. Some parts of the Midwest, a short time, the white man has been there a little over 100 some years. That little while, 18 inches are washed down into the Gulf of Mexico. And they wonder why they have floods every year in the Mississippi, Missouri, Platte River Valley. Why the idiots strip the earth of all its protection. And they needn't blame it on that big population. The minute they landed on Plymouth Rock, they skinned our Mother Earth like you skin a muskrat, without one thought of the future. Anyone with any intelligence knows you don't cut trees down the side of a hill or a mountain like they did next door to me. But for that precious dollar bill they worship so much, they stripped those beautiful forests in California along the coast, and what happened right afterwards? The mud floods started covering their fancy houses. Did they learn anything? No. Money first always. Right through California, Oregon, Washington, probably now Alaska. Where the cones used to hang from the trees? Used to be thousands of cones hanging from those trees. What happened to them? Why are our trees sick and dying? Acid rain. So what do the big brains do in the government?
I posted. I see. Mr. Mountain Eagle in the chat. I posted a link in the YouTube chat right under where you said I'm here. If you just click that link, it will open up a new window. There we go. There we go. Perfect.
Well, I have four links, so I just went back to the first one.
Hello, welcome. How are you?
Good.
Good,
How are you guys?
good. We're doing well, thanks. Good to have you back again today. We were just playing the video that you recommended to us while we were waiting for you.
I know. I was watching it.
Yeah.
I was listening to you guys talk.
Oh,
While
great.
you were looking for me, while you're saying you were waiting for me, I was listening. I was watching it.
Oh, great. Good. Well, we're good. We're so happy to have you with us again.
So how you guys feeling? Good?
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. We've been looking forward to this discussion, and Mr. Pelu is just getting off the train and getting into his house, so he'll be kind of in and out for just a couple minutes until he gets settled.
That's
But
why he's
that's
moving the way he is.
yeah, he's on the train, so
I
that's
can
fine.
see the picture. You guys got that city picture that's on the screen.
Yeah, that's New York.
Is
Yeah.
that where you guys are?
I was there a couple weekends ago, but I'm from Connecticut, so I'm like an hour and a half away north of New York.
Oh my gosh. I went through
Yeah.
there. One didn't go through New York. I went right to New York, came back through Vermont one time.
Yeah.
But
If it,
yeah, I haven't. But look at that place. I mean, crazy. I bet you guys going mile a minute.
if you're not used to the city, then it's definitely a shock, you know?
Oh, look at this is what I'm doing. Keep myself just you know do little crafts and do stuff like that to keep myself busy.
See, that's awesome. It's definitely different from city life.
Well, I mean, it's not like if I was in a city, I would survive though.
Oh, yeah.
I at this point, what I'm doing here, I got food and I got a little bit of living and stuff like that. So money, if I need it, I can make a little bit. But in the city, you got to pay rent, you got to pay gas, you got to pay taxes, you got to pay for everything, man. I don't know how people do it.
Very expensive. Yeah.
let's give Mount Legal the full screen.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So make it like yeah.
Uh,
No, I can with the
Make
light.
look. So it'll be like Mountain Eagle talking to the people. It'll be
With light.
the way we had last time was hot. I mean that three-way was kind of good too, but the way we had last time was
because we're all here, you know, so
Yeah, we don't have Jeff
oh,
not here this time, so
oh
yeah.
yeah, Jeff not here. That's right. Hey, put Mountain Eagle in the middle then.
Oh my God. I don't know how to do
All right, it's okay. If you don't know how to do it, it's fine.
all you have to do is one of
Oh,
you
there we
turn
go.
it. There
You
you
did
go.
it. You just did it.
Hey,
There we go. Perfect.
And you
Perfect.
said you didn't know how.
I dragged it. I tried it. I know. I tried something and it worked. That was a score.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect for this show. This is perfect.
Yay. Awesome. So
Sorry, I have to shut down a little bit here. I'm in a motorhome
no,
and
that's
I parked out behind my niece's house.
okay.
So I have to shut the windows down and everything. So uh you know, people really don't think I'm living here, because the way we live here is people are still trying to make us conform to a real curfew type thing without having to say it, So everybody goes to bed early and nobody does anything. If you're out late, then you must be one of them drug people or drinkers or something, and you're easy to label.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty conditioned around here, but part about it is it's great in some parts because it keeps crime and stuff down, but that means crime goes behind the scenes,
Mm.
So the control factor is there's not much freedom when it comes to letting the spirit of the creator bring in what is missing because that's controlled.
Oh. Yeah.
Almost like spiritual property. I don't know if you guys read the declaration. The document refers to it.
I honestly I tried I'm so bad at legal stuff, so like a lot of the legal stuff it just went I have a hard time understanding that, but I did skim through a lot of it. It was so intense.
No, I'm telling you,
I
it's
definitely
intense. But the part about the United Nations document was 2010, I think it was. They did a declaration uh, on indigenous people's rights, which made everybody spiritual property. But we did an assessment on it and we gave it back to them, and they redid it. But at that point, that was when the whole part of the. I believe the whole new world order was putting itself in place. But as we stood up for ourselves, we had the spirit or the physical body standing in the spirit's heart energy, that the spirit actually got to continue to live on earth without being a slave, controlled slave through the body. So, I mean, just steps. Every step we take is just keeping us on top of what we're supposed to be doing. That's the reason we're getting in trouble, because we're not doing doing what the next generation is supposed to be doing when we pick up the ball from the old people.
So, all right. So, I'm just want to bring it back, like, just so we could all kind of get a little context.
Oh, are we live already?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we live. We
Oh my God!
And roll
What the heck? You guys didn't tell me that.
Yeah, we told you. It was 8 o'clock. No, we didn't tell you 8 o'clock.
It's only 5. It's only 5 here. I think we went on 6 last time, wasn't it?
You were watching, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was the same time though. It was the same time last time. It was the same exact time.
I didn't even comb my hair. Oh well, you got me how you got me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Didn't mean to open up like that though. Definitely, because like I said, whenever we do something like this, somebody should say a prayer first for us.
No,
Okay.
you're right. And before we do even that, I still got to do my continuing dedication. We're continuing in the series of Native American affairs. We're having a continuous dedication to our friend Wolf. Wolf is a young man. He's a ex-marine, and he's a part native. His grandfather was a native, and his grandfather's sister is still alive, but she is terminally ill, and it is a very slim to none chance of saving her. He has to make terrible decisions because he's the nearest of kin, but she's a Cherokee on the reservation in North Carolina, and there's a lot of other things with it. But anyway, our prayers got to be with him and his auntie for whatever God wants for the family to happen, to be good, and perhaps and there's a lot more to it. I don't want to get too personal, but we just got to pray for Wolf. So
Yeah.
Wolf and his auntie them. Okay, and the wolf and her name was Woya. Woya. He said it means peace or dove, peace or dove in Cherokee. The Cherokee, the real Cherokee on the on the reservations in North Carolina, the real reservation Cherokees.
Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely pray for Woya and her peaceful
We always pray all the time. I always do a prayer all the time, but I always like to recognize everybody else. But everybody's got the same amount of energy that I have. I don't see why I always do the prayer all the time, even though it's good to have the prayer. I mean, I'd like to hear one of you guys do the prayer too, if we can.
Okay. Well,
Who was?
go,
I
you
mean,
want for
okay,
it?
I would, but if I pray, I would have to do it in respect to my religion, Islam. So I hope that the prayer will still find you still find benefit in it, even though coming from a perspective of a Muslim, and when I pray. Anyway, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. Okay, Udi Bilimi Ishtar Regime. Thank you, God, for having us guys here today to share cultures and knowledge and our wisdoms and try to find light in your world and what you want of us and what you want out of us in creation and people that's coming together as human beings as the children of Adam. I just want to pray for all of our successes in our gaining more knowledge and benefiting the world. And that's it.
And let me add to it.
Rabbi Natina Fidunia, hold on. Rabbi Natina Fidunia Fiasana, what feel like Kirtiasana, Wakina Dabenar. I mean, okay, and I'll go, sir.
And now add the part about spirit as we do the work for you, as we do the work that needs to be done on earth. Allow the energy that we put out and stuff to go back into the people, into their heart, into their body, so that they become strong, so that are sick become well, and those that are almost becoming sick become well and stronger, so that pretty soon there is no more sick because we're all strong and our bodies are strong, and we're all thinking strong, we're eating strong, and we're drinking strong, and we're doing all the things that the Creator wants us to do, so that will be good service to being who it is that we're supposed to be on earth. So bless the heart, bless the family, bless the animal, plant, air, and water, and earth. Mangawi, mangawi, mangawi.
Okay, and if I may add on,
Salam.
let us dedicate the merit that we earned from gathered here, the good karma that we acquire, and we should dedicate it to all beings who are suffering, including the hungry ghost, and also to Wolf and his family and his aunt Oya. May the merit that we gain here be dedicated to all of them. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Salam.
I like that. Notice how that energy feels. I like it with better all of us, because not one of us had any lead over each other, you know. We're all here together,
Yeah.
so we got to have each
Hey,
other's.
so Jen, ask them about his tribe and the Washoe, because a lot of people last time they want to know specifically your tribe and nation. They want to know more about Washoe. And so Jen, I mean, you can pull up the Washoe, and then and Mr. Mountain Eagle, you could, tell us about the Washoe. Tell us about the Washoe.
Okay, well, what the Washoe, Washoe is singular. We used to say we would call it Washoe, but there's breaking it down, because now we call Washoe County here in Reno, Nevada. That's Washoe County, so they actually stole our name. But the Washishu here at Lake Tahoe, we were given life here to speak on behalf of the animal, air, plant, and water. So we communicate with it, and we do that job. So Washishu, when we were brought here, means everybody, means everything. So we as Washishu are everything: land, animal, plant, and water. That way we can be anything as we pass through life. So anybody that comes into the territory and becomes part of us, they can become Washishu. Now you got to remember, there's another terminology called Wasichu, and Wasichu is Lakota for he who takes the best fat for himself. So Washishu, Wasichu are very interesting. That description of something is so close in the language that people would misinterpret it. I mean, Lakotas do that to me all the time. They say, "Oh, you call yourself a white man, huh?" Because that's what they use Wasichu as being called the white man. I said, "I'm Washishu. Don't get it wrong, you know." So anyway, Washishu, that's what we're here to do, and for generations, that's what our part is. And we live Lake Tahoe being Nevada and California. We're right the corner of Nevada where it bends is right there where Lake Tahoe's at. And we encompass 5 million acres in there. 5 million
wow.
square mile acres.
Oh wow.
So
how many people would you say or estimate are inclusive to the, do you have, for
probably back in the old days before nobody was here, we probably regulated probably about, I don't know, say 1,800, 2,000 people.
Okay. And today?
We're still about the same, but there's a lot of people that aren't recognized either, sir. They're kins and kin, so the bloodline is not as much in the eyes of a pedigree system, which they have now relating to it. They won't recognize you if you don't have a certain amount of blood. Then you're kind of left out in the cold. So there's probably double that if all the people were actually be able to be members. Descendancy.
That's interesting.
So, but it has to do with culture. It has to do with culture too. If you practice your culture, you become that tribe. It's not the bloodline as much. I mean, it's very important to have a strong bloodline, you know, environmentally, but you know, it has to do with your practice.
So is there like an emphasis like within the tribe to like keep it like, keep the bloodline going, like don't mix or don't is there like an emphasis on that like that are
Uh, it's interesting because I've been here 10,000 generations, and I think in my family, my sisters and I are the first incest babies, I would call us, because our in our lineage, when you're too close to cousins, that's not heard of. You know, they
right,
never married closer than that. So my mom and dad got married. When my mom and dad got together, the great great grandma, the two of them were half sisters. So, you know, to know that history is to continue to have a strong bloodline so that you can marry people in your same tribe. You just know which ones are blood related and you know which ones are married into the family related.
okay.
But otherwise, there's tribes all the way around here. We got Maidu, Klamath, the Pit River, the Paiute, Southern Paiute, Modocs, Miwoks, and all of those tribes around the territory in which we live. We had a trading language, so we also had gotten women from each different ones of those tribes, so that we maintained the bloodline. So those other women we brought here, they became Washoe.
Okay.
And any women left here, they'd left. They didn't take Washoe with them. They became that tribe. And that way there was no mix up. I mean, they may have remembered their history and their stuff when they were here, but as they lived with the Paiutes and lived there and had kids, pretty soon they just became Paiute, you know, or Shoshone or Miwok, you know.
So
So
that's
it was a relationship that was balanced between the oral history of the families to know who's who and where everybody came from, so that we can maintain a very strong bloodline.
hmm. So that must so you guys were mostly on good terms with the surrounding tribes for
Oh yeah,
the
oh
most.
yeah, oh yeah. We had trading language,
Mm,
and we understood the different ones too. You didn't Some tribes, if they were hostile, you know, you didn't travel through their territory, and if you did it at night.
mm,
You know, but tribes that weren't hostile, you could pass through their territory. You knew you could just get taken care of by the families that you pass through their territory. You have that hospitality. That's how we were a peace tribe here. So any tribe came to our borders, those that were traveling peacefully, they got taken care of. That's why we didn't think the people that were coming here was going to do what they did when they, you know, after they moved in.
mm.
You got your place, we'd just stay over there. We'll stay over here, you know.
Right, right. So about what year did the Washoe tribe get I don't know how to put it, but like the agreement with the government on what your like territory or your reservation, like when did you guys get reservationized or
Well,
um by
it
the
was
government?
it was a gradual encroachment. We don't have a treaty or nothing here. They just colonized us by subduing us. We had a war in 1859 that wiped out all the men, and then they tried to wipe out all the women and children and old people, but we had already stashed them away. So that's how we survived, you know, from uh, um, just trying to wipe us all the way off this earth.
Hmm. Who was it, the British like or like what who were the first colonizers that were in that
Uh,
region? Were they
Over here we had they
Span-
call that Genoa. They call it a Mormon station. That's where the Mormons, I guess the Mormons lived over there. But they
mm,
also got Germans and Bascos here. So a lot of that influence was already established. So you didn't go into the town or stuff like that because you were treated, you know, uh, however you're treated. Because now we're survivors. of a Holocaust period of time that they got rid of us. That when we finally came back out of the mountains after the war, they just tolerated us, you know. So we're starting to gain back in numbers again, but we don't have no treaty or anything. We got colonized. We got some communities bought for us by BIA. You remember we talked about that? BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Right.
Yeah, they're after the federal government, U.S. government got to the Midwest and they had to deal with the Lakotas and all them, and they had that big battle. After Custer lost the battle over there, they had to figure something else out. So they created Bureau of Indian Affairs, and that was created through the Department of Defense. And it's to pacify the Indian problem. That's to tell us, you know, we're working for you, but it's actually to let you tell me what you're doing so I can figure out how to stop you.
Jeez.
So as that process was going along, we were, again, the Bible or the sword. Now we either got live in a system that we're offering you, but we're not giving you nothing until you give us more, and then we'll give you something out of the system. Otherwise, you'll have to suffer in our system because we're not giving you that because you're still not giving up something. And the part we're giving up is our identity. Every time people gradually encroach into something, they want to get rid of the original so that the artificial could be spoken for. You know, easier to tell a story about something.
Yeah, so it was like a gradual kind of just encroach and takeover. Just
yeah, and that's where we are. That's where we are today. It kind of everything that we're talking about, it has to do with, man, how can we even start talking about this stuff? Last time I talked to you, it was like we just bounced around on some things, but oh my gosh, it has to do with the trail in which the path was taken in order for us to reach this place. But so much has happened between Custer's time in here that the history that happened before Custer back east, you guys have all that history of what they wanted to say. They haven't written it fully the way it had happened from Custer to the west, because they want to just say it's a done deal. But it wasn't a done deal. They lied to everybody as they gradually put their foot in the door, put their leg in the door, you know. In our case here in the Washoe country, we had leaders here, head men, the Tomosha, and every head man took care of their area, and there was a management of a big territory. So there's eight head men. So as we did this, if somebody came to our territory and in that part of the territory, they would ask the head man, is it okay to gather here? Is it okay we pass through here? Is it okay? And that's what they did. They came here, they asked, we said no. So what did? They go into somebody else and ask them, and they said yeah, but they didn't ask me. When you come to Washoe territory, you come to a certain territory, and each management area that the Washoe families had was like a state. Like a state within our whole territory, there was plots of land we called a marsh that was each territory was managed by that family.
So it's literally like counties, like a state separated into counties.
Right. And sometimes I look at it. And I say, you know what? When Benjamin Franklin wrote this stuff down from the Great Law of the Iroquois, you know, some of this stuff they wrote down in their America designed itself under, it really does fall into flow with the parts that's missing that we haven't spoken up for. Like somebody said that one time, how come we don't speak up? How come the natives don't speak up for themselves? Well, we're finding out now why, but now that we can see that picture, we're getting closer to it, you know?
Because that's right. You said a lot of the parts of the democracy set up, like the Senate and whatnot, was modeled after native tribal kind of
well, it was set up after the Six Nations of Iroquois government. Their governing system over there, and they were wondering how all six tribes could get together. They've already had it figured out. And so when this colonies wanted to become free from the queen, so they say, they had to establish their own writing, their own democracy, which they say democracy was born here. Well, yeah, before America. Once America took it over, now it's degrading, they say, or they're losing it. And you wonder why. They never had it in the first place. So, the original people here is the ones that carried that that role for that integrity. To manage something and to take care of it for everybody is very important.
Yeah.
And so, it's just a balance of things. You got to have the environmental concerns directly included. So a lot of things that we're doing right now has to do with just that, the misuse of land and the taking of resources out of the ground. For us, it's always no, don't do it. But in eyes of the legal position is restoration, then mitigation. And then once you hit mitigation, now I forget what the words they're trying to use now, but once they hit the word mitigation, that was where you're thinking to myself, well, we asked the attorney one time, what does that mean? They said when we feel good about the damage we've done by talking about it. So
Feel good about the damage we've done. Wow.
Yeah, so they can move on, so they can move forward, And so this is why they have the expert elicitation process of institutional degree system instead of me. I don't have any kind of degree because I never went to school. Just like my elder grandma that was told she had to have a degree to teach the stuff up in the college.
Right, right.
It's just a process of eliminating originally just taking over the standard. But for us, if something's going to work, the part about what we were doing here first needs to be included, because that's really is missing in a lot of parts of why this dysfunction in our native communities is happening, because there's a governing system that was already there before people came here. And then once they came here, they say we're nomads and tell these stories and all these. So where we didn't have a culture, we didn't have a governing system, and our land was just laying there, not even being used. That's all baloney. We knew it was all there. It wasn't ours. It belonged to the nature, belonged to the earth, belonged to the air and water. See, so it all has to do with where we stand in the picture of everything. I got to put my phone on a charge here, so
okay.
Give me a second.
Wow. Such a shame, really. Like,
well, you don't look at it that way. Don't look at it as a shame. Look at it as knowledge that we got now that we're able to utilize what it is that we have as resources and put it towards the direction in which someone's going already. And we all have to find out where the tip of the arrowhead is instead of working on the fletching, working on the shaft. We have to. There's already someone at the tip of the arrow. We've already made the arrow and it's already shooting into darkness. We already see the other side, but it's the rest of the shaft and the fletching that's got to go through the darkness. And that's where they're saying, well, we're not going to keep going because it's dark. No, it's light on the other side. Well, how do we know? You have to believe. So believe and support the right things integrally, and you will never go wrong. But if you take it off track and let somebody else talk you into it, that they're going to do better for you, and trust me, that's when you're going to have problems.
wow, I can imagine. Whew. Deep stuff, you guys. So,
yeah, let me. Okay, from the audience, this is a little comment from the audience, but I want to say how you feel about it. Hey, how you feel about Elizabeth Warren? Just because for the sake of the audience engagement, how you feel about Elizabeth Warren and her saying that she was Native American?
I ain't met her yet, but she sounds like she's a great person. My cousin went to school with her, and I'm real grateful that at least they got some kind of a possibility that we can have someone that understands tradition and culture. if you understand tradition and culture, it's a lot easier to work with. But the part about the corporate structure is it doesn't have the spirit included yet. So as the corporate structure operates, it operates under what do you call it? Take, and spirit always wants to be included so that there's not just a taking; it's about a giving back. So there's always more for others after us. Or so we, if we take something, we should take what we worked for and made sure that was more for others when we left. But anyway, as this Elizabeth Warren in there, I really believe that it's a good opportunity for us because the new paradigm needed somebody that was raised traditionally, you know. So she's, I think she's going to do good myself. I mean, it's a good opportunity.
Is she that she's what, senator or I'm trying to, is that the lady or what is she?
No, she's a
Okay,
Secretary of Interior.
no, 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 no. No. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about someone else. She's the Secretary of Interior now, Elizabeth Warren, really? Because she was a senator. She was a senator, but I know she became Secretary of Interior. Wow. Let me see. She was Secretary.
Yeah,
No,
I don't
I'll
know who
give
you
you.
guys talk. I don't know who we're talking about because I don't stay on top of the politics and stuff. But I know that the new Secretary of Interior is going to be very hopeful.
Not okay. No. Okay, okay. I'm gonna see the Secretary of Interior just so people know. Say because she might be an important person for us to just know in terms of Native American.
I think the side of where this country has developed itself on the information of natives, the information that's always given to them, always taking it, but they're always using it in saying that they're creating this.
No, eh, hey,
But at the same time, how come they have so many flaws in it?
yeah, okay. The Secretary of Interior now is called Deb Holland. Deb
Oh,
Holland.
Deborah Holland, that's right. Who's the other lady you guys talk about?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Warren was a senator who's basically lying that she was a native.
Yeah, she lied, but this other lady's actually like a native, first
Yeah.
native woman to hold the position. So that's awesome.
Of Secretary of Interior.
Yeah, good for her.
Wow, if you think about it, though, they should have been had a native because
Of
what is the
course they
interior?
should have. They should have been there the whole time.
Yeah, because then they're the ones who should be controlling the interior, really, because that's their. I mean, they should be the ones controlling the interior. Natives should be controlling the interior.
Exactly.
I
Right
mean,
now,
yeah.
my sister just got to me and she wants to know how she gets on there. I got to send her something, I guess, right?
Okay, forward the link we sent you.
Just forward that to her.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can keep talking. I can keep hear you guys while I do that. So,
Okay.
but what was it? What was the question? That other one. What was the other lady's name? The one that lied, said she was Indian.
Yeah, did you ever hear about her?
No, I never heard about her.
Okay, it's not that important. Don't. It was just. It, it was one of our people wanted to know because it was big news. It was big news for a while because and when Donald Trump was running, they was calling her Pocahontas, and because she of the whole
Oh, like we
it was
don't think about Pocahontas. Oh yeah, I remember that Trump said something about her one time too. You know.
yeah, the Pocahontas woman was Lizzie Warren who was lying that she was a native when she never was, and she was making a fake story that she was native to be some type of minority and say she was native. I mean, it was terrible. It was a terrible lie that she told.
Well, again, we're going down to that same old paradigm of if people don't know, we're not going to tell them. You know, so this is what the new paradigm's all about is if you're going to be in this country and be a part of the telepathic communication system, then it can't be full of shadows or things that are not flowing. You know, it all has to do with bringing light into the world that we live in, and so all that old stuff that we talk about, the even Trump, people ask about Trump. You know, I don't really know the man myself, but I see the stuff he's doing is again someone that was doing things without his heart. So, but the man, I could see the man grew up. He probably not as uh, mothered as lots of kids and put into military school and just put on that thing of a man's got to succeed, all that. So he don't know what his heart is. He ain't taught about compassion growing up. He maybe talked about compassion after he grew up, but he's already now uh, raised like he is. So go, go, go. And so, how do you know that a man's, uh, if he's truly like that, if he doesn't know his heart? If someone could show him his heart, do you think that he may be able to be another person? You know, I always say give people a chance, because I myself feel like I get chances all the time because my heart don't always work right, I'm always trying to, think I'm doing something when my heart's got to be the one in charge. So, uh, everybody that's doing what they're doing, the old paradigm is just trying to creep up into the new one, and all of us that are in this new paradigm or leaders, new paradigmists, everything we say, everything we think, everything we dream is going into the next 100, next 26,000 years. Jose said so. All I could do is try to think with my intentions everything positive as possible. So I hope them guys learn from their whatever they're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
No, I think our
I
politicians.
can't hear you guys hardly. Did you guys sound go down or something?
no,
No,
no, no.
here.
We're just being quiet. We're
We're
listening to you.
yeah.
It's me again, but remember what happened last time?
Oh.
I can hear you guys, but it's not as loud. That's all.
Uh-oh.
I ain't gonna mess with it though, because I can hear you. Just remember.
No, no. Just turn up your volume. Turn up the volume. Use the volume button somewhere and turn it up.
Oh no, I did. I pushed it all the way. It's all the way to the top.
I don't. I don't mean on the speaker, but on the app or whatever you're using on the app or on the browser. Try it.
Oh, you could do that too.
Yeah, try that. Try it. I don't know, but try something like that.
Uh, see. No, I don't. I don't want to mess with it. I can hear you guys.
Okay, then. Okay.
If I mess with it, I'll end up closing out, and it'll be just dead time.
If you can hear us, then
That's
you good.
okay. All right. So what was the okay, so we got into that I'm just trying to look through that list. So the first promise, unfair treaties, um so you guys said that you never had any official like paperwork or treaty or anything with the government. And
Yeah, no.
is that
What we did was we adopted a generic constitution from the government, which enables us to be recognized by the federal government. So
mm,
that then we get a charter that we can do business as a legitimate business. Uh, and that's where our governing system here is doesn't realize they're a business council to manage my assets, not me. And by the generic constitution given to them by the federal government that gives them a limited amount of sovereignty, they um, the government, I guess, is enabled to get their part in the door without them being here. As they use the native people that are trying to get educated and move forward, they're trying to push this stuff forward of saying, let's just work with it. Let's just get this thing going so we can get going. When all it's doing is finalizing those last steps that it's going to take to claiming the whole identity of a people because those people forgot who they are.
hmm.
So in this process and where we're um, leading to is constantly taking. So when you told me about how the land got taken away,
Mhm.
here uh, they finally took it away, and I think it was 72 or something like that, 75. Anyway, they did once the council was getting recognized for to be a governing system because the elders were getting together and they were volunteering their time to be in the council. When they got federally recognized, then what happened was they did um, I'm not really sure who did it, but the federal government ended up being okay. One of the elders out of Woodford, California, that's the Hung Lauti. They're the ones that brought this case forward, and they got an attorney, and they asked for $50 million for their land claims because everybody's just running over the territory, and we don't have any say in it. So, we want some kind of claim for it. And so the process in which the attorney, the guy was really old, so he wanted to hurry up and get his part, I guess. So when the $50 million went in as that complaint, it came back, and the federal government says, well, we're going to do this. We're going to honor your claim, but we're only going to give you $5 million because we're going to give you the land claims for what it was worth when we stole it, which was in the 1800s. So the price for land was 5 cents an acre.
Right.
So that's what they got to pay for it in 1975.
Way. That's
So on top of that, then the money that we got for that claims, and that included water, air, land, trees, minerals, everything, the whole shebang. Now, when they did this, the elders said to me, because I wasn't gonna cash the check, because I wasn't gonna, they said, don't worry about it, just go ahead and catch your money, have a little bit of money for yourself, because the way these guys are dealing with this, they're gonna have to give it all back anyway. So right now they're giving us some money to operate on. So you operate with that, and we're gonna take a portion out of everybody's check and put it into the bank so it backs up our business, so we have support financially. And as we went, we're supposed to be getting royalty checks, And so since 1975 to now, I've never seen a dime. And then they said they abolished that account at some point and just said, oh, it belongs to all the members. It's not just about the very few started, it's about all of us now. So it's just so funny how all these things that went in is crazy. How we got paid, how we got used, how we got screwed with the land in the first place. Then we take the money, got screwed again. Then we put the money back. Then we get screwed again. There's no accountability, because the whole process in which we're going it's allowed that, because even today we're trying to get businesses going here and trying to get stuff going in our communities, but they won't do it because we have a predatory economy here. Because we've allowed ourselves to be negligent to our own laws, our own policies. So
hey, let me ask you this then. So I hear what you're saying, but that a
yeah,
lot of that, would you say that your tribal leadership has big issues when that, because who's responsible for making decisions for the tribe, and are those people competent to face the challenges that your tribe is facing from all the levels of encroachment?
yeah, it's funny too, because when you get a certain kind of people in there that does what they want done, then the next elections they want the same kind of people in there, so they say, oh yeah, that person was bad and we'll get the right person in there, and they call it that a change agentry. Same kind of person, different personality.
wow.
Yeah. Still there?
Yeah, no,
Yep.
yeah, we here. So okay, so now,
So the different personality, but we're talking about political, government kind of thinking people, as well as institutional thinking people.
yeah,
We're not talking
okay,
about the original people.
okay, yeah, you might have your original people, right? But
Yeah,
but
well,
what?
I'm one of the original people. The next
No, no, no.
generation coming up to try to take its position to help the people, we are not useful here, and we're in the way because they do not want to deviate away from the gradual process in which they've been going since the first time we said no.
Yeah, but listen, right? You live in America now. I
Yep.
know you don't like it, okay, that's not the right word, but I know it wasn't the choice of the natives to be under America at the American Empire, right? But now you live under the American Empire, right? The American Empire has their
I don't.
laws, their institutions. No, 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 no. Okay, okay,
I
it's
utilize
disputable.
some of it. Yeah.
No, it's
Go
disputable.
ahead.
No, no. I agree. Everything I'm saying is disputable. I agree. Everything I'm saying is disputable. But I just want to bring another perspective, right? I want to bring the perspective, the real political perspective. What I mean, real politics can mean being like political realism, right? If you want to look at it with this from a standpoint of political realism, you're under U.S. jurisdiction. You need to talk to the people and interact with them. You have to have, I mean, no matter what, they're going to make it sometime a system where you are regulated somehow because that's what jurisdictions do. And for whatever reason, you found yourself under U.S. jurisdiction, right? So, but and the reason I'm saying because I want to go into segue of how is the U.S. jurisdiction applied in your native life in reality? You might say you have your customs, but what's really running your resources and your distributions and your institutions and your policies? How they're really being governed? In contrast, not in contrast, but in connection to the U.S. The U.S. government, state governments, or whatever, like how is the devolution done? It tells about the devolution that's done, and it tells us about like the bureaus of Indian affairs and how everything is devolved into your system, but how it goes back up to the U.S. jurisdiction from the best of your ability to explain your political reality of your tribe in a tribal situation.
Well, they don't have any jurisdiction. Never did have jurisdiction, and now that we have it in the process of being able to uh, uh, police our own territory, it's discouraged because we're already have agreements and contracts in place, which the attorneys in this country have uh, said treaties are like agreements and contracts, which they're not. A treaty is a covenant. And so, again, the gradual encroachment is continue to allow yourself to think that we have to formulate underneath this governing system called Corporation of America, it's not. The native people have our own uh, ability to create the same organization, but as partners, we're not underneath them. We're forced to stay underneath them, even in a time when the all the rights were being um, fought for by the different races in this country, women in this country. You know, they just included the native people in on that, so we never did actually get our. See, we don't have rights. We got inherent responsibilities. There's a difference between your right to do nothing and be free and your right to be responsible and do something about it. See, so we're talking about two different aspects of a system that, as we gradually encroach, we're always talking about that side. Nobody's talking about the side in which we're formulating, because in some cases we're still a little bit quiet about it because people are listening and they're listening to make the path a little more difficult, right? But now that we're in the new time, which you're saying is as we're in a new period of time, that we're not like that no more. That we're all a part of this big country now. That's all great, and we're all going to be doing good. Well, we got homeless and hungry, even in my country, and I don't see any relief on any of that until we go back to the formula in which the Indian government, which the native government from the Six Nations of Iroquois established that, and that's with the Women's Council. If we were had a Women's Council here, Elders Council here, those of us that are uh, um, wanting to have input, we would have input. Right now, we don't, because politicians and thiefdoms and these kinds of things, they're always gathering intelligence so that they always look like they're the ones doing it. So it's real hard for us to do something and have it be a really positive move. So in our eyes in the West, we're actually really traumatized because how can we speak on something in a formal honesty when we're still not speaking of the part that is
Okay,
really the
Mr.
underlying factor.
Yeah, Mr. Okay then. Okay, but you said about the fiefdoms, right? You have fiefdoms. So who's running this council and fiefdoms? So who are the fiefdom runners? Who runs the fiefdoms? Tell me.
The fiefdom has to do with the last legal plunder of this country, and by being under another form of government, there's so many flaws in it because there's no accountability. You know, I mean, I could go into some details on that one, but there's just no accountability in this design system because the federal government is the controller or the holder of all the sovereignty, and they'll delegate just a part of the sovereignty to do this business, and it gives us enough sovereignty to where we're still above the states, but we're not over the federal government.
I
Which
know that's what I'm
means,
trying to say. So,
well,
and
we
that's the
are,
point.
but we
I know
are, but we are,
that's the
brother.
point I was trying to say from the get go. So you're still under U.S. jurisdiction.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
I don't see how you're not.
We now establish ourselves through the ID theft document. It shows you in there. There's a declaration of sacred estates document that we did. My elders and them signed in 2005. And this document here establishes us Holocaust survivors. So the elders of my tribe and myself and a number of other younger ones, at the beginning when we first signed these things, it was about returning back to the place of our origin to be responsible so that we could be partners with those people that are here in our land doing the things they're doing, but they need to be given the information in order for them to operate, which we as Native people have no council, no gatherings, no get together, because here in my territory, you were abused and you were mistreated and you were told not to do these things to where next generations don't want their children to be in harm's way. So they always tell them, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, to where now those of us that have been standing to this for 4 generations now to get to this point, now is the time for us to stand up, and nobody will, because everybody's been beaten down. And so you want to talk about legitimate truth? Well,
Yeah,
the truth
but it
is,
might be a reason for it. Okay, it
So
might be that they
the truth
realize.
is the ID theft document is given to them in 430 pages, and it shows that their identity theft and fraud, we gave it to the federal government, and to this day, 2005 till now, do you know that I'm not in jail? I called them a thief. I called them a liar. I called them stealing my identity, and nobody said nothing to me yet. But I have proof of fact that I give them the document.
mm.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
fact, we
So
signed
can
these
I
documents, the
can I
elders
ask
and
one
I.
question?
So as we did this, why aren't we discussing that through their eyes? We're just ignored and acting like we don't exist, because if we're
Mm,
such a small thing, then it's not that big of a deal. But if it
right,
is a big deal, us returning back to this, claiming our identity on this continent, then we're claiming our whole governing system also, which is ignored and not supported and continuously uh, encroached upon to allow it to look like something else.
right.
We
So
have
let
we
me.
have the ability to do that if the native people would, oh man, be like the women in this country. If the women could be just given a break so that so they could get time to think, maybe they would give us some good answers. Right
Mm,
now, we're all under distress, and how are we going to get something together when nobody doesn't want to get pushed forward when we're all put under that same pressure?
right, right.
You know, this stuff that we did with the documents. You know, the reason why I did that ID theft document. A
Why?
lot of people wanted to have input in on it, so I didn't want to have nobody have no input. So I paid for that myself, and
Wow.
Okay.
I took a lot of hardship on it because of that. But that document is true, in fact, in its statements, in its interviews, in its case files, that I want it to be as pure as possible and clean as possible, so that the next generation can at least read it and go from wherever we left off, to allow them see the intrusions upon our lives are constantly uh, compromising our own identities.
Okay. So let me
We
ask you
have
this.
to.
So, Mr. Monigo. So What's the most? So you said the first part you want people to understand is the features of indigenous identity, theft and fraud.
Yep, yep.
You want
Indigenous.
people-
We're talking about not just native. We're talking about everybody.
Mm.
Okay.
So, just to backtrack to a point that you were making about your indigenous legislation systems, right? Like you want to get back to governing your tribe how you guys wanted. So, um, what is there a Washoe tribal court, like a legal court, and is that a government setup thing, or was that something that like was a tradition to you guys, or what? Did they just make it seem like you guys could do that? It doesn't really have any weight, or just explain to me um, a little bit about the Washoe tribal court tradition.
Well, they do have a court system here, and they constantly try to um, um, speak on behalf of cultural and traditions, but they don't. The legal system doesn't have the right to do that. The American legal system, because it's the covenant with us and the Creator in our management roles, that gives that power. So, um, as we were recognized by the federal government and given the Constitution, we're given these powers. So yes, we do have a court, but the court, they Native people call these kind of things kangaroo court, because
Mm.
it's all just a game with people playing with our lives, because the legal system, most of the laws in the legal things coming at us, we have it doesn't manage and regulate us in a way that who we are. It depicts us as criminals and people in crime and drugs and alcohol and all these kinds of things, when that's not who we were. So as this legal system is set in place, uh, they utilize that legal system from the federal government and American government, and then they turn around and use the legal word sovereignty and saying they can do whatever they want. And that's where the loopholes start coming in, because people don't know the difference between recognized natives by the federal government and traditional natives with original sovereignty that is big as the federal government or bigger, because we're in our own land yet. But the tribal governments are given a limited amount of sovereignty so they can operate in business. That's all. They're mixing it up, and tribal governments are saying they have sovereignty, which is our sovereignty, and they utilize that in these court systems and all these things, which is an illegal process. But
Hey,
the whole country that's around us, they don't they don't want to hear all the mix up of all these things. They just want to see how we're going to be functioning in a dysfunction.
Jen, do you have the identity theft document?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay then. Oh, I want to pull it up though, because I know he wants to talk about the identity theft document and the features, right? And you have a nice voice to give some features of the identity theft document for our people. See, to know
Well, I
exactly
had
what
well,
we're
I
talking
had
about.
the reason I'm glad you guys kind of got on the subject, because last time it was when we talked, I was just kind of casual and just went through it, and I didn't realize um, how serious this was. And I used to be just uh, I love my elders. I did everything I could for them, and I don't want to please them. And then when I got to be older, they were having dreams about the Metsune, and the responsibility we have to the entity that lives in the water. They call them a water baby, but they take care of the water world. And the water baby was calling to them in the dreams and telling them, "Help us! We can't get them off of us." And so elders are having a tough time. They're getting these dreams, so now they ask me about it. And so, being a responsible party of the next generation, I had to one to step up. So they asked me. They said they don't know what's going on, but I need to go find out what's going on at Lake Tahoe. But the water baby is telling them, because the Washoe people were chased off up there a long time ago, and some of my elders, they never went back to Lake Tahoe. And when I went to Lake Tahoe and did this meeting up there and started finding out from TRPA what all this stuff's going on. And I went back down and told my elders what they said. And they looked at me and they said, "You went up there?" I told them, "Yeah." And they said, "They let you talk?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "This is what they said." And they were amazed that I came down safe because they've never been back ever since they were chased off their parents. And then they were being kids, and then they're being my elders now. So it wasn't that long that we were mistreated these ways. So now where we are now, as I was going to the gatherings up there at Lake Tahoe for about 3 years, I found out what the problem was, what the elders were dreaming, and what it was that was bothering Metsungen. And in the process, I became political and legal minded. But the bottom line was I found out from my elders that it was a quagga mussel. The quagga mussel is an invasive species coming from the Dead Sea on the bilge pumps of the ships that go into the Great Lakes. And now that the quagga mussel is invasive, he used to be a good thing, but since he's coming from the Dead Sea, that the toxins in the water over there have changed the quagga mussel's chemistry. He used to be a filter system of good things. Now he's not a good thing. He's actually filters everything out of the water to where that kills anything and everything in that water.
Oh, wow.
It killed it. So now all these lakes in America are getting quagga mussels in them because people in this country want to use this land as recreation because they have the right to. And as they're doing this, they're spreading quagga mussels in each one of these lakes, and now all these lakes are dying. Lake Tahoe being another one. And they want to say, "Oh, it's just Asian clam, Asian mussel, whatever." I've been there, I've seen these things. So the thing was that what the spiritual connection we have as managers told the elders what was going on. I went up and found out, and there's nothing we could do for the water babies to get those quagga mussels out except for encircle the whole lake and do a prayer and songs for it, and maybe the vibration can heal it. But otherwise, what we're supposed to do is try to find some other way to get people to realize what they're doing. And that's how I ended up in this role of speaking on behalf of a legal position as well as a position of survival. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I didn't even go to school, but I'm not going to sit around and wait for somebody else to tell me a lie and let me believe it while they walk away and create more problems. There's a way to solve all of this now, and it's not that hard. So now that I'm where I'm at, I got put in a position to where my tribal government, which you say, how come the tribal government does this and that? Well, my tribal government now is operated by corrupt people, change agents, and there's handlers in the behind the scenes. But as I go, the agencies of Lake Tahoe, as I was going to the meetings, these agency workers were loving it because everything I was doing was helping them manage the land, manage these things that they were having trouble with, and they liked it. But the tribal government wasn't doing their job, and they're collecting money all the time, and they're saying they're doing the job. So now they threatened the agencies that I was working with and said, "Art George does not work for the Washoe tribe." But he never did tell them I own it. I own the Washoe tribal business. I'm Washoe. So they blackballed me out of the whole business realm and threatened the agencies that I was helping with management of the land, Lake Tahoe and the forest and all that. They told them threatening with government to government relations. And so the agencies told me, "Man, we love working with all this, but we can't work with you anymore because the tribe the Washoe tribe is threatening our bosses." So again, it goes up to the higher part. So then my name, Art George, I had to become Delok Patalngi to use my Washoe name, and then they leave me alone. But they don't know who that is. That's why. They know who Art George is, but they don't know who Delok Patalngi is. And that's Mountain Eagle. So as I continue to do my role and do my part, gather intelligence, it's just the information that's being brought to me is how we're going to be able to create this wave of understanding is we definitely have to get a women's council together, an elders council that's a legitimate source of support, because way we're doing it, it's documents. Gave it to the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Secretary of Interior, the Bar Association, and the United Nations, and my tribe 3 times, and 3 presidents, and not one of them got back to me.
Wow.
But if you look in that document, it points out some pretty heavy people in there, and so I guess it's okay to do those things because it's the proof of fact is right there, and there's a lot of legal case files in there that shows you that path, and so you can't eliminate the legal case files from it, because then you lose the path in which the smoke screen is trying to be made, or the veil.
Yeah, this is so like extensive and tons of legal stuff. Just
It's deep, huh?
Hey, Jen, can you go to features? It's about page 5, like page 5 or some features.
Okay.
It's round 5. I'm not sure if it's 5 exactly. Round 5.
5. I have a preface.
No, okay, no. Go further down to features.
Features of indigenous identity theft and fraud.
Yeah, he said he said that's the most important part. So, you want to read some of that?
Yeah, sure. I'll read this.
Yeah.
Let me share it.
If you could share the screen too, that'd be good. Yeah, share the screen on that. That'd be perfect. Yeah, let's get some of that in.
Yep. Okay, so it says.
You can make it bigger. See if you can make it. See, you can make the print all
Try
the way.
this. It's a different browser, so let me.
For everybody. See if you can make the.
Was you gonna read it, Jen?
Yeah.
We gonna read. Yeah, we gonna read.
Okay.
The principal features of indigenous identity theft and fraud are the use of frames of interdiction, academic colonialism, legislative treaty contracting, agency rulemaking, systems of austerity programming, force of law under authoritarian rule, coercion of indigenous populations to accept benefits under force of law, and acquiescence to false rights. The theft and fraud rely on the mechanisms of theft by deception and fraudulent conversion and conveyance. The most insidious process of identity theft is gradualism applied to identity cloning and synthetic identity fraud, like membership open class enrollment of Indians to bolster agency stakeholder financial benefits. Indigenous identity is a completely or partially fabricated, bearing the willful intention of stealing another person's identity in order to access resources or obtain credit and other benefits in that person's name. As a straw man, such as resident tribal citizen, tenant, Oloti, Indian, trustee, marginalized human resource or user group. This applies to individuals and organizations. So, whew.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Okay. I want to ask you this though. So you said in the document you wrote that they were made to accept benefits on the force of law and acquisition of false rights. So how were they made under coercion? How were they made to accept benefits under coercion, under force of law?
We're already subjected under trauma and persecution. Back in early 1900s, they said it was against the law for natives to ever get together, be together, and so we were killed or worse.
So you're trying to say that?
back,
Okay, so you're
back in
trying
the
to say
day.
the
So we
benefit.
never got together to have meetings or whatnot. In the Patriot Act now, there's more than 4 brown skinned people are together that or indigenous people that are together. They are considered insurgents or terrorists. See, there's a labeling that's going on there too on that identity of when they put the Patriot Act in place. So again, when you ask me how or what, we're looking at the pathway, and then the features of identity theft and fraud. That one you just read where she stopped. There's a second page.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about you trying to say that they forced you to take benefits. So are you trying to say they made a forced dependency, or did they say you had to take the benefits? You want to take the benefits? Was there a way to resist taking benefits? I want to get to that part because I want to get to how the state holds people captive to itself. So I want to talk about the whole benefit situation with the Native American community and why did you put in the document and why did you associate it with force and coercion?
Well, when you want to get right down, you start breaking that stuff down. It's just like you look at it this way. When you talk about coercion, you're talking about people that have already um, um, given up their traditional formula of thinking. Now they think institutional wise. Now they're in the tribal government. Okay, now they're working for us tribal leaders. They don't listen to traditionals. They don't listen to me or recognize the the reason why the Washoe tribe of Nevada and California exists because of me, identity, me, not because of the name, because of me. And so as I do this, the tribal government leaders, they make decisions and do all these things without us. They don't have the right to do that. Just because they have a constitution that says that they have the right to
So
function as a governing system does not give them the right to
So you're saying your institutions that have been put in place to govern your tribal affairs that are constitutionally recognized by the United States. That's why I said you have to kind of say that you're under U.S. jurisdiction. Those people who are part of the U.S. system as it applies to your tribe, you're basically saying that they don't really reflect the tribal identity in its cultural format. But what?
no. They they used to
Yeah.
come. They used to come to me and tell me, "You got to start telling the tribal government more about what we're doing and what we're supposed to be doing." He said, "Otherwise, you're never going to get nothing from this tribe." Now, I was
Okay.
threatened by that back in the early '90s, and
So
that's
so
why I don't
so so
receive
how
nothing
tribal
from these
leaders?
guys because they've always tried to constantly grab something and run with it and act like that's what we do. Run with it. That's what we do because nobody knows what Native people do except us. So as we
Yeah,
continually
but okay.
give them
So, but let me ask you this
information,
then.
now they
Eh,
have
Okay,
more.
okay. I got to push back a little bit. So, who elects your tribal government? How your tribal government put in power? Because if you're
I
saying
told
they
you,
don't
I
reflect
told
your
you,
people,
I told you it's a generic constitution. And if you know what a generic constitution is, that means it's all about the federal government and all the things that they have. We get to have except not the power.
I know, but you still have and your agents there. But you're saying your agents don't even reflect it. So, who's putting your agents in place?
The welfare people now, the ones that got handouts, the ones that forgot their culture, the ones that got persecuted and their families didn't teach them anything, so they don't know anything.
But are they the majority now?
Yeah.
So your
Now you just
majority.
have to be now you just have to be Indian. Indian isn't even a real person.
Yeah, but see, but they become the majority. So you're trying to tell me that assimilation has occurred in many ways? You would have to say that at that point. So
Assimilation has occurred, but it occurred with a majority of people, but that still doesn't leave those of us that haven't uh, assimilated.
I know, right? but you're in a unique predicament then, because you're in a
No,
world.
no, we're all in that same predicament. It's just about time where the native people just speak up for themselves. They haven't spoke up for themselves because they're waiting to be killed. They're waiting for something to happen to them. They're so traumatized from all the persecution that we've had to do for since 1540. So for us to really move forward is to really get the support of those uh, that can understand the plight of a nation that still exists within inside this whole mess of governing system that's stealing energy from us and saying it's just like
But
us.
you have to acknowledge this jurisdiction. See, but to begin fixing the problem, if you want to be a political realist, wouldn't you have to acknowledge the jurisdiction of the United States? If you want to just be a political realist about trying to fix the inner situation, inner workings plight of your people, if you want to be politically honest, wouldn't you acknowledge U.S. jurisdiction? I know it's difficult, right? But I'm just trying to be a
No,
political realist.
no,
You
no.
know.
It's easy to do. It's easy to do. It's just the people that ourselves have to step up, and we've already agreed from all the people that are influencing us that we can't agree. So we're just going to agree to let it go the way it is. You know, the Washoe tribe back in the day when they adopted their laws, their legal system. I was at the meeting. I was just a kid, and they were establishing what laws we were going to go by, and people started bickering and talking and all things back and forth to where the elders didn't want to fuss with all that, so they did it this way. They said, we're going to adopt the state laws the way they are to give ourselves guidance on management, and then as we go, as our ability to operate, we'll adjust it for the way our people needs to be policed or managed. And that never happened. All them years went by, all that state law been in place all this time. Now it's a mechanism to keeping us underneath the thumb to where we can't operate beyond that because the tribal government, which is a artificial entity, is now using that laws, those mechanisms that are in place to keeping us divided away from our traditional ability to return back and formulate a governing system that's going to work for us. Instead, it always uses the tribal governing system to create the same thing, but with
Yeah, but that's why you have. But
with no
I have to push
integrity
back.
within it.
I have to push back because look, that is why you kind of have to be a political realist and recognize U.S. sovereignty, so you do better. Because no matter what, you have to deal with the U.S. sovereignty. You have to deal with the mechanism U.S. sovereignty makes you deal with it. So if it deal with the tribal government, it might you might look at it as a fictitious government, but guess what? If the U.S. recognizes it as a sovereign government of your people, they're the ones who are going to have the final say for your people because that's who the U.S. government recognizes, and you could easily be marginalized because you don't want to deal with the tribal government. Sometimes you have to deal with the tribal government and get other people elected or do something. But to be able to do that, you kind of do have to. In my humble opinion, my most humble opinion, I, I would say you would have to have some political realism.
I think you got to read that second page myself.
Okay, okay, let's read the second page. Hey, Jen, take it over.
All
The
right.
next part.
In the first and final instances, the sovereign natural people are unnaturalized through the transformation of the sovereign personal political power holdings of an original being, real human, to being an artificial person, resident, citizen, tenant, being under the control of a commonwealth or municipality, that which are merely organized corporate property. Hidden proxy has emerged within Indian country and federal Indian reservations. Decision teams made of key authorities supplant the community committees that espouse policy making in advisory capacities. Indian community members that participate are constricted to functional specialization. Echelon appointments transcend the elected terms of office under the theory of stability. The echelon appointees ensure that the external interests are served regardless of administration transitions pertaining to elections. Change agentry is the personnel framework for fixing options outcomes while purging consensus blockers. So yeah, that's explaining like right there that they're all basically like puppet plants. Predictive programming of the public mind is organized to characterize, disenfranchise, and or criminalize the targeted person, people, and community. Difference is misconstrued and mistreated as dispute. Dispute is disruption. Disruption is disobedience. Disruption, contention, and disobedience are violent thoughts. Violence is criminal. Criminal is terror. Plausible guilt scenarios are grounded in potentiality. Dissent, consensus, blocking, objection, contention, activism, protest, direct action, assembly, and just revolt. Positivist theory, sorry, there's sirens. Sorry, I live in a city. Positivist theory discharges well reasoned disobedience by obedience defiance disorder, a mental
Eh,
illness.
Is is your computer aligned to the what you're reading? Plausible. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. No, no. I'm so sorry. It was me. It was me. It was me. It was me. I'm sorry. Keep going, Jay. No, it was me. I didn't see it. It was me. I didn't see it. You were straight. It was me. It was me. It was me not seeing it straight. Hello, Jen. I can't. Oh, we can't hear you anymore if you're talking.
Oh snap. Okay, sorry. The
Oh yeah, yeah.
capstone the capstone
We didn't hear
doctrine
you say.
of limited genocide, serial warfare, atrocity, holocaust, dynamic entry, extrajudicial killing, torture, deception, depopulation en masse, austerity, eugenics, and espionage are made acceptable through values neutral false threats to national and personal security.
Okay, okay. You see, look,
Hmm.
all this really sounds is U.S. jurisdiction, right? We all kind of have to
Mhm.
deal with all the stuff in certain ways, but we all have to understand that we live under U.S. jurisdiction to
Right,
be
and I
able
think
to.
that's what this the purpose of this entire document is, though, Pelu. That's what I'm saying.
No,
Like,
no, no, okay.
that's what
Explain.
this whole thing is an admittance to this government that they're under of their plight. You know what I'm saying? This is it. This is exactly what
But you
you're
have to
talking
recognize their
about.
sovereignty over the territory and
Yeah, but
those,
that's
and
what
you
this
have to
is
recognize.
attempted to do. Like, I'm sure that this is not like a new idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is exactly what this is trying to do. Am I right?
No, 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 no. Okay, that might be what Document was trying to do, but I was telling but that's not the argument. I mean, that's not the discussion that me and my own ego was having, because he was saying they did not accept the sovereignty, and I was like, you kind of have to accept the sovereignty, because the document was William Blair. Your man William Blair wrote this part. I mean, I don't know how much you agree with totally. I don't know, because I don't know how aligned you 100% you are with what was written, but the way you were describing is that
What do you mean how aligned I am? I'm a
what I mean is
co-author on that thing.
no, 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 yeah, yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna tell you the reason why I said that, right? The reason why I said that because the way you described it just now was like we're not we don't recognize the U.S. is the sovereign, that we're the sovereign, right? But then Jen said that is admitting that is the U.S. to the sovereign. So I'm trying to figure out. I don't mean align with the writing, but align with the interpretation I'm getting from Jen of what she thinks is going to. I'm trying to put these two things together and say, is the whole do we recognize U.S. sovereignty over the native territories and people as part of the native commonwealth, or do we not?
Do you recognize native territories as part of the
U.S.
Commonwealth?
jurisdiction, yes, and the citizens as U.S. citizens. I mean, because that's what it's gonna boil down to, like, because they're okay. Yes, it's a colonization. It's basically a conquest that went on, and it's like I can't imagine the U.S. government giving up its claims of their conquest over you. I can't imagine it. I mean, it's sad to say. I just want to be political realist. I hope you don't take it the wrong way, right? I'm just saying this to give up. I have to be I have to be objective and come at you with the best argument objectively to for our audience and for people to really understand the play that's going on. So I have to give an objective. Like I gotta play devil's advocate a little bit, right? So I'm not trying to say to make you take it the wrong way. I just want to say to like, okay, the U.S. is going to think that it has conquered you. It has taken its part. You're part of the integral territories, and your people are subject to the United States by birth, and probably and according to different laws were made at one point. I think by now they have to done consider y'all birthright citizens by now, because even immigrants will come here are birthright citizens. So the way they look at you, your nation. They consider you a nation, but your nation is devolved from their sovereignty now because they've conquered you. I'm not saying I'm not saying you have to agree with this, but I'm just trying to say this is I know as being part of the U.S. jurisdiction myself, having to living under it my whole life, right? I know they're not just going to let you be here, not under their jurisdiction in the territory that they claim is their integral part of their country by conquest, and then they admit it's by conquest. But so I'm trying to say is that I'm not saying that I'm not saying that is like is the conquest there or is it not? Like what's the nature of the conquest? If it is there or is it not, or how do you see it, or what's the reality of it? Because it's like I mean I mean it's a difficult thing. I know it's difficult, especially if you have an attachment to your indigenous sovereignty, which is totally understandable. It's totally understandable. It's totally understandable. Totally right. But then it's like, uh, what is America? And is America really the empire that says it is? Like, what are we trying to do? So it's like it's like I just want to be the person to put the political reality of it because it's like we can't go nowhere we don't see the political reality. So it's like is America sovereign in the United States? Is a corporation? I mean, yes, I know. We say it's we the people, right? But we the people have to make a tool, have to make a state. Can we? Are we recognizing the state as a tool that we can use or not? Or because if I think if we don't, the tool could work against us. So are we going to work with the tool or against the tool? How are we going to use this tool that we call the U.S. corporation, government, whatever, the United States, the jurisdiction, the force, the state? How is it going to be an asset to us or is it a hindrance to us? What do we make out of it?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, it's for you. It's for you. It was a long thing, but I just want to sum up the entire U.S. argument the best I could.
Well, you can sum up all your argument all you want. If I don't recognize your jurisdiction, you don't have it. I might be the only one, but I'm telling you right
Okay.
now, after the others realize where they stand, after we realized Columbus, when he first got here, never took anything. It's all in your, it's all in our mind. It's all in everybody's mind that they did. If you get out of that mindset, you realize that the responsibility that every human being has on earth is the original one that they were given when they were given the place where they live. And if you don't remember it, it's easy to get it back. You just have to quit the side of doubting yourself that it can happen. You know, back in old days when we relied on our old people, there was so much easier of a system to work under because we knew what was going to happen. This one, our old people, we don't even know what's going to happen with them. They're the ones that we got to worry about because once they get old, nobody cares about them. And then worrying about ourselves, oh my God.
I
So,
know, I know,
so
I know.
you know, the original governing system that people had, there's a way to go back to those things. It's got to get out of the mindset of people saying, well, it's already here and you got to live by it and that's just the way it is. That's fine. You guys live with what it is you have and what it is that you've been given. But those of us that have been given uh, instructions already, all we're doing is going back to ours too. And the place that's going to collide is when the people that are doing what they're doing, their practices aren't as good as the one that it is that we that we're laying out. Because the thing that we're laying out is the adding the things to the American government that is missing. They didn't create this government, they stole it. They created a system that's already ours. And then they want to claim it, and now they want to say we're underneath something. We're not underneath anybody. We're underneath a creator. We're underneath the sky. We're here all together. And if people got to start getting to learn how to do that, is the only place we're going to begin to move forward in the place that we need to be. Easy as that.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. It's a tall order. It's a tall order.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
You
tall
know, I
order.
mean, myself, I mean, I've been living with this for, you know, my whole life, and people used to always tell me it's never going to happen. You're gonna die like that. People are gonna come get you. Something's gonna happen to you. And I think I lived in the mountains most of my life, and nobody ever did come out there. But they always told me if I go in the city, something can happen to me. I'll be called a victim of circumstance. So I know that when people tell me things like that, that I just gotta watch out for myself, and as I go, know that I love everybody. I love everything, you know, and the people around us. They live the way they do, and they do the things they do. But just remember, we live the way we do too, you know, and we got integrity. So all we're trying to do is add that integrity back into our way of life. That's going to help the original families of this land to return. We can't return right now. We're all, man, everybody's starving. Everybody's under welfare. Everybody's under, you know, we're
Okay.
just doing what we
Hey,
can to
hey,
survive.
hey, I want to go back to the part about the towns because I remember I remember before in our talk you mentioned shutting down towns and how you go into towns in the daytime. Tell our audience about the past and how it was in your interaction, like the sundown towns, being able to come go into town in the day but having to leave before the end of the night, or uh, um, 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 just to save your life. Talk about all those sundown towns, and after tell us a story about your grandfather. But tell us about the sundown towns, and let's go about your fighting grandfather too.
Oh, my great grandfather, the one that
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
fight.
yeah. Okay, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Start with the sundown towns, like having to go into town early
Okay,
and then having to
when
leave
the,
early.
they were Germans here that pretty much established, but the they had a horn here, a firehouse horn. It's still
Yep, the
here. It
firehouse
still goes
one.
off.
Yep,
It used to
yep.
go off at the same time, but it blows a big firehouse horn that goes off at 6:30 in the night. It goes off at 6:30 in the morning time, and that horn right there told the native people that they had to be out of town. If that horn blew by 6:30, you had to be out of town. Otherwise, you didn't make it home, or something happened to you. And in the morning time, the horn would go off again at 6:30 to tell the native people they can go ahead and come back to town if they wanted. But in the meantime, my
That's
grandpa, my
cra-
great
that's
grandfather,
crazy
too great. He
because
used to
No, no. Before you said it, because see, I want to tell the audience, you know, throughout the American South, right? They also have a history of sundown towns too, where African Americans had to be on their side of the tracks before sundown, or be their side of town before sundown. So the same controls they were putting on African Americans in the Jim Crow South, uh, um, you're describing similar conditions that were the natives were subject to similar conditions.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. For so the natives and the African Americans have things in common in terms of they both had to deal with sundown towns. Mhm. Yeah, the horn. Yeah, because remember the good old boys. You call them the good old boys, right? The good old boys will come.
Yeah, the good old boys would meet my grandfather at the edge of the town, and my great grandfather would be coming in with his buckboard, him and his wife, grandma, and she said, "Oh, you kids better listen." She said, she used to tell the old people. She say, "Uh, none of you would be here right now if them guys got your way." Said, but one time your grandfather, he had to jump off and fight them guys in the morning time. And he says he used to do that all the time, almost every time we go downtown. He said, but he'd beat them guys every time. He'd knock them out, knock them down. He said, this time, he said the Cowboys, the good old boys, brought in a famous boxer from the United States, heavyweight boxer. And I still don't know who that was. I can tell you the period of time that he was there, but and he was a white guy. But he said uh, he got off to fight him, and he said he knocked him out. And the good old boys didn't like it, so all of them jumped on him. They were gonna beat my grandfather to death. And all of a sudden they hear this quack, and it was while they were fighting, there were two stock wagons had pulled up, and the noise they heard was a whipmaster that when I had the whip, and he quacked above the guys where they were fighting, and they all stopped and looked up, and the wagon master told them guys, the good old boys, you leave that man alone. And so Grandma always talked about that story about we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them wagon masters, you know. But I always think about that time when who that boxer was. I always wonder who that was because my grandfather was actually a heavyweight boxer champion of this country. If he was that guy was, if we recognize his name. But
Yeah, that's crazy. So basically, you had to fight for your life. Your people, your grandfather's generation, when they was living, they basically literally had to fist fight for their life just because they were natives.
every day, every day.
Hmm.
That's because
See,
we
see, folks.
survived. If we survived, then we're gonna have to put up with their shit. So you know.
You see, folks.
You know, my great grandma, the
Everybody
one that
listening.
taught you know my great grandma, the one that taught me all the stuff I know, a lot of stuff I know. She was 7 years old when the BIA bureau came and got him took her out of the house. She said they just came over the house. They didn't even ask her nothing. They just took her down to Stewart School down here in Carson City, and she was 7 years old. And she said she was there for 3 days. She said, and all she could think about was any minute she can figure out how to get out of there and run. And after 3 days, she couldn't take it no more. She said it was mean to her that she
Uh, uh,
ran.
um, uh, uh, are those schools residency schools? Those schools like specially made for natives? They're like
They were
residency
for
schools.
boarding schools. They went in there and cut our
Yeah,
hair off
residency
and
boarding schools.
took
Yep.
us out of moccasins and put shoes on us.
Oh, so they cut your hair and they couldn't they put moccasins and took your moccasins and put shoes. Yeah. So they're
And if you
residential.
didn't talk your language, they beat you. So if you didn't talk any English, you got beat all the time.
Oh yeah, man. So it's no Esau back then, because now when immigrants come, they have Esau, but they call it English for speakers of other languages. But they didn't have all that for y'all. Like if y'all didn't speak English, it was just whips, right?
Yep.
It was just or the ruler. Was it the ruler? The ruler or what was
Yeah,
it?
rules, all sorts of just being mean. The Native people weren't used to families being mean to them. We didn't need a spanking to mine. Being scolded was enough.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You know.
Yeah, so you,
Yeah.
you think about all the little things when you ask me about how we do things. Well, I know it's hard and it looked like it's really bad, and it really could be, but I can't lose hope. I mean, I can't lose the thought of that it just not being here no more. That's all. That's why I picked it up because I didn't want the old people to die without their wishes. Uh, at least seeing in me that I was going to be able to try to survive.
Jen. You
Yeah.
mind bringing up the article? You mind bringing up the article about the native, about the Nevada and the sundown town? You want to
Oh,
read a piece of
yeah.
it?
Let me try to find it.
Just put it up. I
You guys
mean,
have an article?
yeah, we got an article about sundown towns. Yep.
Well, I just did a videotape a few years back called Washoe, and I gave it to the museum, and they took it to the Washoe tribe and asked the Washoe tribe about this film in the horn. And did they come and talk to me about it? No, they talked to the Washoe tribe and all the authorities. And the chairman dealt with it this couple months ago. And the chairman had no idea. He's a young kid. He had no idea of the history here. He had no nothing. And then negotiated uh, the means for that horn, and the Guru boys here uh, don't think that there's a big deal. But if it's a big deal, then they'll change it to 5 o'clock instead of 6:30.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
It,
What's the difference? Five thirty,
Jen,
six
it
thirty,
was
10:30.
it was the last thing you
Still a
posted in the
horn.
chat.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. One sec.
Okay. 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 I'm sorry.
It's a long article, so I don't know how to read the whole thing. But yeah,
No,
I
no,
posted the
no.
article in the chat.
Just
It
read like the
says
beginning of it.
in
Yeah.
Nevada, sundown town history has cultural impacts for Washoe tribal members. Um, The hike from the abandoned Central Pacific train tunnels to the petroglyphs overlooking Donner Lake in northeast California is relatively short, but it's hot and the trail is steep, so going is slow for the roughly 2 dozen kids from the Washoe tribe of Nevada and California. This is the group's annual summer trip to the swim in the lake, and the tribe's culture and language resource director Herman Fillmore wants the kids to get something more out of it. Fillmore asks a nearby chaperone if they remember the Washoe name for the place. Um, Dosh.o. I don't know if I said that right,
The
but
Dao, how you say it in the washer name? The Dushdao
Dosh.o.
I don't know what you guys talk about.
stuck
Um,
between lakes, right? How you say stuck between
s-
lakes?
stuck in between lakes.
We don't we
Donner
don't we
Lake.
don't we don't call a lake nothing. Lake is water.
Dushdao though.
We call when Lake Tahoe when we ended up there. We call that Dawaga.
Mm, okay. So hearing the name serves as a simple reminder of how Donner Lake, nearby Tahoe, and much of the eastern Sierra Nevada mountains have always been home of the Washoe. But it's not where these kids live today. Most live in Nevada communities the government created to separate indigenous people from nearby white towns and settlements. They're similar to reservations, just closer to urban areas. Fillmore says many of the kids understand how that happened and why. What I've seen a lot with our youth now is that they're interested in our language and culture in new ways, and they're able to kind of see this colonial world that we live in through a new lens. And for many, that brings an understanding that much of our history, official U.S. policy, sought to eliminate indigenous culture. From the federal government's perspective, that is always at the foundation, said Matt Migley, a history professor at the Metropolitan State University of Denver and the author of The Small Shall Be Strong, a history of Lake Tahoe's Washoe Indians.
Hmm.
It is this desire to assimilate and this national move to coalesce around the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant identity and hyper-patriotism was very popular, and the Washoes were easy targets, Mackley explained. The Washoe traditionally were hunter-gatherers moving through eastern
Okay,
Sierra seasons, but the
I'm
practice.
trying to get to where it's. I mean, if you don't got to read the whole thing, but I want to see where it gets to the sundown part. Is it where does it get to the sundown town,
So,
sundown legacy? Yeah,
of course, it wasn't only the federal government enacting racist policies. Prior to World War One, Nevada's Douglas County adopted an ordinance that prohibited Native Americans from being in the towns of Minden or Gardnerville after sunset at the risk of jail time or worse. In
Okay.
1984, interview with University of Nevada Reno oral history program, 70-year-old Washoe elder Bernice Ouchoberry described her understanding of the law. The Indians weren't allowed in town after 6, she said. When the whistle blew, you had to be on your way home. If you were caught on the street or anywhere, you got put in jail. And the interviewer asked if she knew anyone who was arrested for being out after sundown. She responded with a yes, a whole bunch of them, my father included, she said. So, yeah, she even
yeah.
says it detailed systematic discrimination akin to what black people faced in the Jim Crow South. When you went to town, you weren't allowed in certain places. You couldn't eat in the restaurants. They had a soda fountain. You could go in there and order ice cream, but you couldn't sit down at the table to eat it. Wow.
You had to go in the back. They served you in the back in one plate, just like dogs.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like Jim Crow. It was like, you see, there we go, everybody. That's the evidence given factors. That's the Washoe life.
Terrible.
We couldn't go to the town. Yeah, sundown towns in Nevada.
Hmm.
What happened?
Uh-oh.
Cut
We
off?
lost. Yeah. We lost Mountain Eagle.
Wait, so you probably cut it off by accident. I'm gonna tell him go click on the link again.
Oh, here he is.
Okay.
There we are. We're back. Back in
I had to
business.
shut you off and turn you back on. I can hear you guys good now.
Oh, yay. Good. Good.
Yep.
That's good. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, man, that these
So,
things.
so, so Blue, so Blue. I have a story for you too. I'm in third grade. Uh, Another one of my experiences was three of us natives used to be in the same class, a girl and another guy. And the girl didn't like white people, so she would always cuss at the teacher every morning. So we would have to stand up and get paddled too, one paddle. And we didn't do nothing, but because we were Indian, we had to stand up with her. So, and guess what the teacher's name was? Mr. Lynch.
Oh, no.
He was a relative of the lynching family that came from the Andes that came up here to teach Americans how to make their slaves mine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Willie Lynch letters. The Willie Lynch letters. Yep, the Willie Lynch.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was very similar. I mean, so
I mean, he treated us like that. He didn't like us for some reason. I didn't even know the guy. Just because he wasn't from our town, I guess he didn't like me.
Hmm.
so
Um,
so so
Ranger Rick used to save me.
okay, so let's talk about the schooling and stuff. Okay, so they had a resident school. So how is the schooling now? They don't have. I know they don't have those type of schools anymore. So tell us how the education system evolved in the native culture. How did they bring in
Yeah.
the Western education, and how did it evolve? And how far are people going in education? Are people leaving, going to colleges? What are people doing? Give a tell us a little bit about how the education is going.
Well, it's so funny when you say that because the BIA school, the boarding school, was to stop us from being as kill the Indian and save the man idea. Now you say about the school. Well, the BIA school, after the natives were to go in school there for a while, after a number of years, pretty soon it became their school. They became part of that school, so then they represent themselves in that school. So uh, they had public school also. So there was public school going on, and there was a Stewart school going on, which they called this one here, Stewart Indian School, which they had Navajos and other tribes from other places here that they sent away from their territory when they wouldn't mind. So they sent them someplace else. So as the boarding school housed these natives, they had their own school. But the idea behind these boarding schools was to teach the native people how professions so they could become productive Americans. Well, they didn't tell us that once they got you out of moccasins and put you in shoes and told you they're going to teach you all this stuff, that they were going to take everything away on this other side so you couldn't even go back and live in the old ways anymore. So as you're uh, adding, going one way, then the public schools were going also because for myself, when the public schools was going, I didn't have to go to Stewart. I went to public schools, but I never went. Was all the kids that went to public school, uh, they really had to feel like they had the freedom and all this and that to go to school, but they all had trouble through all the rest of their years. But for the Indian school kids that were in the boarding school that they didn't want to go in the beginning, that were forced to, now people want to go to that school. But now that they took natives away from the culture and the other moccasins, they boarded the school up and said that they don't need it anymore because they only prepared the native people to be half done. We only showed us part of it, took us away from something so we wouldn't remember, and then gave us part of something they promised the whole of and never finished it, just like the very first Americans that came to this continent made a promise that they never kept to this day, and they want to keep saying, promise, I promise you.
Hmm.
I
You know,
know, man.
so
I mean, see,
so so the so
so
the
how
so
do
the
you
board
adapt now?
so the public school actually just does the job of the American government because the policies or the processes of education has to do with inducing the system within the system. So as they go, they learn, they add more to it. Most people from the East don't realize that how my people were treated. My people were just lied to and then just pushed aside and killed. And now we're just pushed around here, and they were saying, "Well, how come you guys don't do something with yourself? You ain't doing nothing." Oh my God! We're all trying to survive here, but the lies and the deceit and the people that are plundering this country, they're living in really nice houses and everybody's living really good. The native population here, we're living like slums, I guess, slums in America, because we we don't take care of ourselves. We take care of ourselves with the handouts that are given from not speaking on behalf of ourselves, but speaking the words that they want us to speak.
Hmm.
And I don't speak the same language, so it's real hard for me because I hear people talk, so I use those words, right? Sometimes I don't know what the word means, and that gets me in trouble. But my intentions inside is about trying to be autodidactic, I guess, in a sense where everything I do, I learn by what is being done, so I don't make the same mistake, right?
Mhm.
So let me
So
ask you
as
this
I
now.
go, people keep trying to stop me because they don't want you to go that direction. They want you to go over here and be functional in this dysfunction. They don't want you to figure out how to create the system that's functioning so you can function in a functioning system. And that way, all of the family and the kids and the environment and everything is all in alignment and balance. This other way, just a mess that.
Okay, let
Uh,
me ask you this now. Because now you highlighted the problems of education, right? But how do you preserve native education now with competing with the Western education? Like how do you preserve it while competing?
just add to it. Just add to it. So they're eliminating ours and adding that one, and they're saying you don't need yours. Okay. Well, language and culture. Well, how come you're letting us do those things then? Well, because now the teachers that are teaching it work for them. So the information they're getting is exactly what they were asking for when they came here, and we said we weren't going to give it. Now we're giving it freely. Huh? Interesting.
Mm.
For me, I never forgot my traditions and cultures, and I never forgot the rules of what it is we're supposed to do when we brought it back. But I'm not foolish enough to know that if there's nobody to practice it and nobody to support me when I'm doing it, that all I can do is put some of this stuff in paperwork, and hopefully the other ones rise up, because I can't be the only one that believes that the things that's happening to us is wrong and that there's some way to get out of it, and then just instead just belly up and say, well, we just give up. I mean, I don't understand that.
Right. So hopefully we can help
Well,
get your voice out there and get those
well,
people
well
who
the
are
thing is, the
involved.
thing is that old people used to tell the younger generations, go out there to get the education, go out there and be something. But they didn't say, come home and tell us what to do. They said they come home and bring that knowledge home and then share with us so we can absorb it, and then we can share it with each other and get a good formula. Instead, these educated people come from out there, they come in, and then they tell us traditionals, you don't know what you're talking about because you don't have the modern knowledge. Yeah, well, give me some. And then I listen to their modern knowledge, and a lot of loopholes in there for darkness to slip in, like, you know, environmental issues or problems in the family, or things like that, because there's no check and balance. And if a person wants to have an idea, they better have a good sound idea that's going to be uh, not threatening or not um, degrading anything. It's got to be uh, rich. Everything we did was rich before Columbus came here, so we want to go back to that formula. We can't go back to exactly that, but we can go to the same formula, and allowing ourselves to find some venue that's going to bring us together.
Right, right. Hmm.
I mean, Pelu was a pretty good devil's advocate there a while, but almost got me fired up there. I thought about it. No, he's saying the same thing again that everybody says, and it almost get me a rise. And I thought, no, don't do that. He's just doing it because he wants to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, I got to.
Well, I guess it's the ultimate like action, right? That everything depends on. It's like what we do. If we, I hear a lot of people like, let's redo the system, let's take this over and blah blah blah, but that it doesn't get past their mouth. Like there's no action and there's no plans and there's no nothing behind it. Like yeah, it's all great ideas, but when it comes down to do it, everyone's I think about it, I'm comfortable, or it's cold outside, or I'm tired, or I got to work tomorrow, and I admire that, and your drive, and actually doing something for your people, and I think that it's really inspiring, and especially in the light of all the recent, you could say, identity politic trend going on, and yeah, I think it's important. I do. I think it's important, and I commend you. And I'm glad that we could help get your voice out. And
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that with you guys too. Because, like I said, once I get on the road, every time I talk, it helps me to hear myself. Because that last time we did this interview, I watched that thing and oh my gosh, I said, oh my gosh, I got to watch out myself next time, because I sometimes just take things too casual and not realize that when people are listening, I got to be really more um, available, attentive to your listening to what you guys are saying. Because I always want to talk.
No, that's okay. That's why you're here. I mean, you want to hear your voice. Like, okay, and
But as we get out and start educating people, I'm gonna be on the road. So if you guys do these kind of things once in a while as we go, we could give you a kind of a. Well, actually, Jose wanted to get on. You guys send him that link.
oh, you want me to send okay, well, he wants to get on now. Okay, I'm gonna send him now. I'm gonna send it to him right now and see what he says. I didn't give myself to yet because I was planning on what we done when I finished. I was gonna try to get him on for next time, but he wants to get on right now. Okay.
Well, I texted him when you told me to, and I gave him that stuff, and he said do it. So I told you, and so he's kind of a busy guy too. So if he's got time, he'll get on. But sometimes he's traveling a lot too.
Well, maybe
Okay.
But like I said, just send it to him right now, and I'll bet you he'll get on if he's on there, and it'll be good because you'll have more of a program night to go on some more. Because I know you guys got a lot of questions for the Mayan timekeeper.
yeah, that's a really, really deep conversation, and maybe we should
Well,
give.
it goes from here. It goes from me to him because
Yeah,
ours is deep, but they got the answer. All we
yeah,
have to do is relate
Now,
that
I'm
answer
going.
to what we're doing, and it will work. That's why we have the dream catcher up here, the
Yeah.
manifestation stations, because it teaches you how to empty your life and to begin your life again with all these different roles. And then once you come back to the beginning, your whole life is uh, it entails who you are and not who you someone's trying to tell you should be.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna get Jose, but I want to give him his own show probably. We're gonna give him his own, yeah,
or like
because we
Well, I
gotta
segment.
got
introduce
people
him.
coming on. I got people coming on here saying I want to be on. I want to get on, but we're on already. I can't just sending people stuff when I'm already on here.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna get Jose. Whoever else you get, we'll give them their own time to come. We'll organize it before and give them their own time to come, and they can tell there because
Well, I
everybody
mean,
has a history.
even got some of these natives here that wanted to get on. That I'd like to hear some of their reasoning or some of the things they got to say in order to answer some of you guys' questions.
Okay, now okay. I mean,
Yeah.
if
I
you
don't
if
get to
you
hear anybody. I don't get to hear anybody say nothing here. But everybody's all just quiet. They don't want to tell no one nothing because they don't want nobody to know what they're thinking. But yet at the same time, they really want to know what's going on because they really do want to support it.
Yeah. No. If we have planned it, we'll get people. I don't want to call Jose now. If you, because I want to introduce myself to him like more
I
formally.
already
Say,
told
hey,
them who you are.
yeah. I know, but if you want to call, the only reason is because um um um, um I didn't plan to have. If he calls you or you text him right now, he said he want to come. I'll send it to him, but I don't know if I just want to. If I want to jump on, adding him right now, but if he said he want to come, 'cause,
Yeah, because I'm probably gonna just go for another like 45 minutes. I'll close up at 11 my time, and
Oh, what time is it? How long we been on?
2 hours,
No,
2 hours,
no, really?
minutes. Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir. 10:15. Yep,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
God,
We'll make
time
it
just
short. Yeah.
flies.
it does. It really does. It's enjoyable. But that's why, yeah, like I know that conversation about the Mayans could go on, and I want to give it its proper time slot.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
100%.
Jose would like that better anyway because it won't intermingle with what I say too. Because, like I said, he's educated with all the terminology, been to college and businesses and all that kind of stuff. So he's a spiritual leader of the Mayan people down there too. So you got 50,000 Mayans.
oh wow.
We only got 1,700 members here, so we're talking about a definitely different dynamics.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a huge community. Wow, I guess I didn't realize. That's great.
Yeah, well, it's all coming together. The condor and the eagle. That's what masculine and feminine. I call it North America and South America. It's
Hmm.
just a lot of,
Okay,
lot
so
of
yeah, let's talk about the bureau. So, how much is the bureau involved in your lives? The Bureau of Indian Affairs. Tell us about the bureau, and if Jen, if you could look up something about the bureau, some articles, some Wikipedia or something like that, we might add some. So tell us about the bureau and how it affects your life of the tribe, your life. Like is that the main agency that affects you? That's under the is that under the Interior Department? To tell us about the bureau and how it affects your life. The Bureau of Indian Affairs.
well, we just got done talking about all the effects they have on their creative art Department of Defense. So everything they're doing is still trying to get everything they can
Okay.
without saying they're the ones that are doing it. But now, after they've done it so long, the next generations they don't look at BIA as created by the Department of Defense. They think BIA is a federal government subsidy to help the native people to learn to do business. They have no idea that it's there to pacify us so that we don't do business. But now whenever they do anything, they always say, "Well, we got to get permission from BIA first." And by them doing that, they're just kind of continuing to allow those people out there to see we don't know that we have sovereignty, so they continue to take from them sovereign positions, just like people want to marry tribal people so that they could get the tax exemption. Little things like that are big deal to people that don't have it. And here we got all these things that we don't even know they exist because our business committee is taking advantage of us too. They don't teach us what's going on in business. They say it's confidential. None of your business.
Okay, and I have a question from the audience. Okay, what's up, Soul? This is from I love. This is from I love Soul. He said he wants to know about your the deities of your tribe. He wants to know about the deities of your tribe.
Well, we got the one main one's Nentashu. She's like the keeper of the when you pass over, and she's like the great grandmother nature, connected everything. So as we die, we go to her, and then when we go to her, then we go back to the village of where our people were. All the others are waiting for us. But there's all types of different helpers and spirit helpers, and there's also prehistoric um, um, entities, or I can say physical beings that live here also that are people's spirit helpers. Like the Metsunge, the one I talked about earlier. It is a water being is supernatural, and it swims in the water. It doesn't swim like a fish. It projects itself from its power, but it's got long hair, and it's got it's about 4 foot tall, max, and you can hear it cry like a baby. It sounds like a baby when it cries. So I guess that's why they call it a water baby. But those different things there, we were related to those entities in our, because Washoes are like more metaphysical than physical. So the spirits and the things that are all around, those are more real than the physical, because the physical is so limited in its vastness. So as you relate to all these things, they use you as a communication to help them or help whatever it is they're trying to stay in alignment with, because the nature is naturally going to go to a natural flow. Humans are disrupting these things, so we have to listen to the natural flow so that we can continue to keep it that way when it gets disrupted. And so that's why I say all these different entities could be, you could come from Nentashu to the dinosaur, water dinosaur, to the water baby, So everybody deserves to be talked to and spoken to, so that we can bring them back from asleep. Because the spirits and the ancestors always tell me, when people say something, they say, "Oh, look at that cloud, looks like grandma. Oh, look at that cloud, looks like my grandpa." And I always think to myself, people say that, and I think, do they know that that's really their grandma or grandpa? Especially when they're doing drugs or drinking or doing something they shouldn't, and they see that cloud. It's probably telling you, grandma and grandpa don't like you doing that. Pay attention. Or if you're doing good and you see that, and then you think, "Oh, grandma and grandpa's watching me, and I'm doing good." See, so there's ways that communication can happen that we're missing because we don't even take the time to think it's real. I watch the scenery all the time. I mean, the clouds tell me stories all the time. And if I'm outside, it's crazy because the clouds will just form into all these different things. And sometimes my memory will come up into areas that I didn't even sometimes know I was thinking about. But very, very useful.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question from the same guy. So he also said he also wants to know about rites of passage. Like, are the rites of passage still being done in your tribe? Like, what are they, if any, and are they still being done? The rites of passage, and can the rites of passage evolve. I don't know what he means by that, but he's trying to say like what can be done to make it preservable or whatever. But so tell us about rites of passage and what were they? What are they? And how do you see them in the future? Like what were they? What are they? And how do you see them in the future? Rites of passages.
Mhm.
Well, I can say this way: it helps us to stay culturally minded by at least practicing one of our traditional practices. We still have a couple of them that we do that I know the other families still practice, and that's the women's ceremony when she becomes a girl to a woman, puberty dance we call it. And then you got the other one with the men's coming out where he was not treated like a boy anymore; he's treated like a man. We still have those two elements of our rites of passage that some families still carry on. And so with the women's part, we dance all night and sing and 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 put prayers into the dance for her family and for her future. And with the other one, with the um, uh, men's one, we do our prayer, we take our bath, we go out and get our deer, and after we get a good buck, we dress it and hang the balls up the way it's supposed to, and then turn the head upside down, and we crawl underneath it. And so that another passage right there is allowing the boy to know that he's not a boy anymore. He's a man now. He's not supposed to be like a boy. And the women's part is when after she fasted 4 days and carried the stick and walked and when we had a dance for him, we danced all night from sundown to sunup. It used to be 4 days, but if you dance sundown to sunup, in the morning time they wash her off with water and cold water. Then she and now she's not part of the girls no more. She's a part of the women's circle, part of the you know
Hmm.
the workforce of the women's circle.
That's interesting. So the rites of passage are still there. So
Yeah, well, I mean, we even have the wedge with the ceremonies for the animals and stuff like that, but nobody's willing to to do anything. I mean, everybody can hear it, they can feel it, but it takes a little effort for us to make something happen.
Hmm.
You know, why don't you guys hold on one second? I got 5 people keep on coming on the screen and they want to get on. I don't know why they didn't do
oh
this
no,
when I
no, no.
texted
If they want to get on real quick, they can get on. Okay, we'll
ten
They
do.
get
hours ago.
yeah.
That was 10 hours ago. I gave them a message.
Can they
So yeah, get some other questions and I'll get my people on here.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
anyone in the chat if you guys have any
I'm
questions.
still here though.
That's cool. Yeah, see if you could forward them the link that Mr. Pelu sent you.
I don't know. It doesn't. It keeps on wanting me just to go on. It don't. I don't can't forward it for some reason.
Maybe if you could copy it and like if sometimes if you hold it down long, copy will come up and then you could hit copy and then paste it in their message.
Okay. Okay. Copy text.
Yeah,
Now what do I do?
and
Share.
then it
It's copied to clipboard. Oh shit.
that's fine. That's fine. If you go to their message where they're messaging you, or if they're texting you
Okay.
on,
Okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got
yeah,
it. You
just
just said hold it down and I got it. Woohoo.
yeah, paste, yeah, and then perfect. It should send it to them.
All right. So these guys will get on here in a minute, so you probably hear them. Go ahead and keep talking. I'll get them on. Dial them on. Let's see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
You want to say something? I'm gonna see what.
I always think like the rites of passage thing is something that I think a lot of cultures really lack. I think that they're important in a lot of ways, just especially because like in our just lax Western kind of thing, there's no, kind of training formally, and these like rights and whatnot that kids have to go through to, I think it gives them
Yeah.
kind of a sense of
They,
responsibility.
they used to be like okay. At one time, I know girls had things like debutantes, right? We supposed to be a debutante, right? Have you heard of that before?
Like a
A
beauty
debutante?
pageant, though. Like,
No, a debutante is like no, it's like a coming out. It's like a coming. It's supposed to be like you come out as a woman, like you're a lady and you're eligible in the market, like you come out as a woman.
oh, I don't know. I never heard of that.
Debutante, you never heard of debutantes?
I mean, I heard the
Oh,
word before, but I thought it was like a beauty pageant thing. Like a,
it's like no, it's like a coming out. It's like a coming out.
okay.
Debutante is like a coming out. It's like yeah, okay. I mean,
Oh,
you
like a,
get dolled up.
like I see it, like an upper class young woman make her first appearance in fashionable society. So yeah, like those old like debutante balls and whatnot, where like
That's
they,
kind of rite of passage for women in the
yeah,
old days.
I guess. And then the only other thing I can think of is like the confirmation in the Catholic Church.
Exactly. Yep.
You
Confirmation too. Yeah, even
confirmation.
the Anglican Church have it too. Even some Protestants, like the ones who baptize in infancy, they usually have confirmation. You know what I'm trying to say? The ones who
Mm,
baptize in infancy, because some churches don't baptize in infancy, but some churches, the ones who baptize in infancy, they're the ones who have confirmation.
yeah, but I mean,
Because I
unless
remember I went through it. I went through confirmation.
yeah, I did too. I did too.
Yep.
That's when I decided I wasn't going to church anymore.
That's everybody. Everybody said the same thing because that's what he said.
I don't want to go anymore. Pick up purple pill. Um, I think he's frozen, or maybe he's on another tab. Uh, I
I
think
don't know
we
what
should,
happened to him.
unless he tabbed out, maybe he's on another tab.
You want me to tell him to?
I
I'm gonna
can't
give him a
hear
text. Say
him. Um,
I'm gonna give him
I
a
know it
text and tell
happens
him.
sometimes if you tab out. Let me see if I remove him and bring him back in. Yeah. Oh,
I'm gonna go. Let me text him. Say hey, I'm gonna tell him
probably when
to
he
cut off.
was sending the thing out.
I'm gonna give him a text to cut off and come back on.
I mean, if they're listening, I could put the link in the chat if they're, but there's only 5 people here. I think it's like Soil, Purple, and like 3 bots. I've been deleting these weird bots all day. Like, I don't know.
I told him to
Yeah,
cut off and come back on.
yeah. I don't know if I should move and tell us about that.
He said one about Geronimo. Yeah, he'll tell you about Geronimo. He'll tell you about Geronimo Custard. I bet you know about Geronimo. About I'm saying what he'll tell you about Custard and stuff. He'll tell you about some Geronimo. He come back. I don't know what happened to him. He said people wanted to come on with him.
Yeah, the legendary guy from my state is Metacomet. Like he was a king. Metacomet or Pomatacom. Metacom. And he was there's a mountain that's like called Avon Mountain. It's like, I don't know, probably 20 minutes from here. They said that's where he hid up there in the mountain for, I don't know, and then something with the whole King Philip's War or what, that went down there, but they said it was his hiding place in that mountain. Here we are, he's back. There
Hello.
we go. Yay, we're back. Back in business. Oh, oopsie.
Oh man.
If you hit back, it brings you right out. Though I've done that so many times. If you hit the back button on StreamYard, it just kicks you right out. Um, but yeah, Metacomet is like the famous one from my state. There's like Metacomet Road, like almost in there a lot of towns. There's Metacomet um, lake somewhere. I think that's a Mass though.
Okay.
Hey, there we go.
Um,
All right.
yep.
Back back in
Well, I
business.
had 5 people on there now, so if any of them don't get on, then I don't know why they kept on trying to disturb me.
So we'll see if anyone shows up.
Yep.
But yeah, so we have a. Do you know what do they say about? Do you know anything about Metacomet or the King Metacomet or Metacom from Connecticut? He was from the either Narragansett or Wampanoag tribe, one of them from
Mm,
over here.
no, no. What did he do?
He was like the legendary guy in my state. Like a lot of things in my state, you'll see Metacomet drive or road or street or whatever. But he was let me see, and by his adopted English name King Philip was Sachem to the Wampanoag people and second son of the Sachem of the Massasoit. Metacom became Sachem in 1662 when his brother died shortly. Let me see, after his father. So he was like he wanted to live in harmony with the colonists. He took lead in much of his tribe's trade with the colonies. He even adopted a European name of Philip, and I guess he waged a, or he pushed back and waged a war or something. Let me see. Surrendered much of his tribe's armament, ammunition, and agreed that they were subject to English law. But then he waged a war or something. Like he was part of the King Philip's War that happened over here after the kind of like the whole Thanksgiving story, whatever, Wampanoag tribe after that, and that whole thing. But yeah, I didn't know if you ever heard of him or not.
Mm. There've been a lot of those uh, chiefs back there that did some really great innovating, and when they did, then all the people did was just took over their land and made them move again twice.
Yeah.
So, so
Okay.
it's just,
What do you know about Geronimo? We have an audience member who wants to know what he wants you to take on Geronimo.
yeah. I don't know much about Geronimo. I know he was a stood up for his people, but yeah, I don't know much about him. He was um Apache, I think. That was down in Arizona,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. He's
below
Apache. Yep,
Arizona.
Mm.
yep. He's Apache. Yep.
And I tell you,
So
them Indians down that southern area, they could run. The ones I remember, I have a friend down there. He was a Tarahumara, and they were the runners. This guy could run for a week.
man,
That's what they did. They just ran. When it come to messages, they just run, pass the message out, and get back before anybody realized they got the message.
man.
That's why I think the people back then were really healthy. They lived good. We got to learn to do that to eat better.
Okay, so okay, what's the diet like? Okay, that's a good question. Tell us about native cuisine. Tell us about native cuisine.
Oh man, we eat all kinds of good nature food, but it takes some time to process it, and people won't process it anymore because it's easier to go to the supermarket and buy something. But everything we buy there's really not much nutrients and stuff in it, and plus, by us not eating all the natural foods anymore, our bodies are starting to starve to death. Some of us could be, overweight, and we'd be starving to death because our bodies are just filling up with food, but there's no micronutrients going into the body that the body needs. So we got
No,
to go
no,
back to eating plants, and like the acorn, for example. You know, we process the acorn to make flour, so we can have that for our stews and all that kind of stuff. But also, if we were smart, we could do all that, make an acorn flour, and start doing it for our breads and all these things that we do with white flour and all that, that we wouldn't have the problems we have with the white flour. And plus, we would put the acorn on the top market of flours. Right now, it just kind of goes to waste because not many people want to. It takes a while to process it. But they got that, and then even the natural medicines. I mean, that's what's been keeping us well is the medicine. So as we cultivate our minds with the information that helps us to stay healthy, the foods and the medicines and the being around each other, that right there is going to help us to become more or know more about what we're supposed to be doing. Right now, we're just kind of winging it because anything will work because there's nothing going on, you know.
Mm.
But if we can actually get a focus on our path, then I think that alone will show us. Because if we're all standing around together and there's nothing going on, we're gonna figure something out. We're not just gonna sit there and look at each other like we do now, sit around by ourselves and don't do anything because there's no motivation, no incentive. But when people are around and they're doing things, it makes you want to do more. It makes you feel like you should do something. That's what I feel like anyway. I don't feel like just watching people do stuff. If I can help, I will. And that right there, it helps the heart become stronger and helps the soul to be happy, so that your um, way of life can be manageable. Right now, we're unhappy and we don't want to be, and we want this happen and it's not. So why aren't we working with what we got instead of complaining and looking at the things that we're not doing? Well, because that's the one that's slowing us down. It doesn't seem like people even paying attention to that. So somebody should show them that first.
Yeah, okay, but give us some dishes though. Give us some dishes. What? Describe some native dishes. Some native
No,
dishes that
ours
describe
was
some.
easy here. Ours was pretty easy here. We had, all the different types of meats and everything, fish and birds and all that. But we had all the seeds and the vegetables and the like the acorn, and we dried meat. So a lot of times, you ever seen those rocks where you got a hole in them, where they used to pound acorns and pound up the meat and stuff so they can mix it into a soup. We call it a gruel. It had all these things in there from nature, and when we ate that uh, prepared us for everything because now we're eating everything that nature has. So our body actually has the immune system that nature has to protect itself.
So,
So
what was in the gruel? What was in the gruel? It
everything,
was like
seeds,
seeds.
meat, uh, potatoes.
What type
There's
of
wild
meat? What type of
potatoes.
meat? Was it deer,
You
bison,
got
beef?
all kinds of. We got groundhogs. We got rabbits. Well, rabbits was mainly more of a staple because we had so many. And also we made blankets out of their hides. Take 250 rabbits to make one rabbit hide, one blanket. So could you imagine sleeping under 250 rabbits?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, rabbit. That's how much it does.
So
Yeah.
we had a lot of boiled rabbit stuff, dried meat.
I heard rabbit is good though. I've been trying to rabbit because one time this guy I was working with, he told me he counts rabbits. He gave me one to rabbit. He never got me a rabbit. Hey, but that's one thing I want to do. I want to go hunt a rabbit and eat a rabbit. I heard rabbit is good though. Everybody says it's good. Even my grandma used to tell me rabbit was good. Everybody said rabbit delicious.
They're good, but nowadays, everything's getting poisoned. It's not eating right, and people don't like them, so they poison them. And then, the way they live, their bodies are unhealthy. Now, a lot of them are. When people go out and shoot them, they sometimes don't kill them, and then they fester under their skin. They got boils under their skin now because of the wounds. But back
So
in
you
the old
gotta
days,
slaughter it fast. You gotta slaughter it.
back in the old days we didn't let game get away with like that. If you shot something, you went and made sure you got it because you didn't want game to be running around wounded. You didn't want things to be poisoned.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of game that hasn't been fully killed. It is walking around with the wounds.
Yeah, wounds and stuff, and plus probably the poisons they're eating. Who's to say all these things that's starting to happen to them? Because the rabbit skins too. The old timers used to say, "I don't know what's wrong with these rabbit skins these days," because they used to be able to strip them, make string out of them, but now they say they rip really easy. So I don't know what they mean by that, but I don't eat rabbit anymore.
Any rabbit no more?
I
Okay.
hardly know. I know everything runs around, and there's city, and there's trash, and there's dumps and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to
Okay.
eat anymore.
Okay. I have this question. I mean, did this a lot of people want to know this in our previous discussions and when we were telling people about this program. A lot of people want to know this. It's a controversial issue. A lot of people want to know about black folks. What was the native encounter with black folks? Did they want to know, did black people come before Columbus? Was there all the stories of these legendary connection to Al Morocco? Was blacks here first, or the blacks come with the slaves? How many blacks mixed with the natives? Okay, tell me everything you know from the native community, not just from your tribe out west, but from what you've learned in your travels about possible interaction with, quote unquote, for lack of a better terms, black people and natives, and what is the relationships? Because some people are saying the blacks were the natives were the blacks. There's a lot of controversies going out there. I want you to talk a little bit about these controversies from the best of what you know, what was taught to you.
Mm, I don't know. Just like for here, we were treated bad by the white people, so the white people didn't like black people. So a lot of times when the native people were coming up, they didn't like black people either because the white people didn't like black people. But all in all, the native people never had no problems with black people, white people. We just had trouble with the people that were doing what they were doing, and they happened to be, you know, white people. But like I said, in our tribe here, we had a couple families that I know that had black in their family because the black people that were running from wherever they were coming from, they ended up over here and ended up with our tribe. So to be a part of the tribe, that meant that they were accepted. So, you know, uh, I didn't
Oh,
think we had any problem with that.
there were
And
blacks who ran away into your tribe. There was some blacks who ran away and sought refuge in your tribe.
probably that's probably where they came from. I don't know where they came from, but this was back in the early days. So, you know, and we don't have many blacks. Just like I said, they had blacks in Reno, and they made them live on the north end of Reno. But you know, if we got black in our tribe, that means that it was okay for whoever was here, because they people that moved that lived in the mountains, even white people that lived in the mountains before anybody inhabited this area, just natives, they became absorbed if they ended up being connected with the people. If not, they just lived a nomad life like they said we did, but they did. They were the ones mad living by themselves. So for
Okay.
us, when you talk about the black people, I met a guy. He was Nick Muck and Santa Narragansett. He was a black in Narragansett. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles, but he was a pretty nice guy. And he practiced Indian ways too, and he was a black guy. And so, yeah, I guess did native people like that over there too, back east. And now back in Midwest, or not Midwest, over there in Cherokee country. Do you know the native people learned how to live like the white people? That they had the best farms, the best everything. They even had slaves.
Yeah, we know about that. Yeah, we know.
But their slaves weren't treated like bad slaves. Their slaves were shared with. What they worked for, they earned, they get to have, they get to be a part of everything. They weren't like slave and giving everything up and have to put up with the rancher. Except the native people did put up with that. Ours did when we came out of the mountains and started working for the ranches. A lot of the ranchers and ranch hands, they ended up raping the women and because you can't, you know. And those of us that the men that were had to put up with it, eventually we'll be able to protect our women again. But right now, I don't know what we're gonna have to do because it's so painful to know that
But
these things
but let me ask
happen.
you this then: why weren't you able to protect your women? Like was the situation when it took away your gun rights? Did you have gun rights? Like what was going on? Like that you got to that position where you couldn't even defend your woman?
We should we shouldn't even survive the war on us. That's what I'm
Mm.
saying.
The war. So the war decimated you because the war destined to kill all your men. And when it killed your men, so the survivors went and worked with the ranchers, right? The survivors, right?
Yeah, old people, women, kids, and old people, and then the men that were born, young men and growing up, they had to put up with what they were seeing, and they couldn't say anything otherwise they were killed. We never had any rights. I don't know why everybody keeps saying that.
No,
We
you know,
never
I
had
don't.
any rights to this day. We still don't have any rights to this day.
It's because we don't know. That's why we have the show.
We got supervised rights by a conqueror that never conquered me.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. Oh, yeah. That's why we having the show, Mount Eagle, because we want everybody to hear it. Because a lot of us really we don't have access to people who really live the native life. We don't have access to them. That's why we love having you here to give us from your own mouth what was going on with you and your people and the situation. Okay, I have another question from the audience, right? This is from Jack Blaze. He said he said well, what are the healing methods? Someone in the audience wants to know about the healing methods used by natives. What are your healing methods? What is your medicine? Tell us a little bit about medicine for the sake of the audience. The audience wants to know a little bit about native medicine and what are your healing methods.
Well, make it a long story short. Native people had gifts and skills, and our powers came from the people. The people that know that their people possess these kind of skills enough that they supported us, so that we can possess the energy to be able to keep people in alignment, keep people in the best way. Everybody's a medicine person. Everybody has a skill, a gift to be able to provide service or provide insight to something that others can't see. And so when you're talking about medicine people and sorcerers and things like that, now you got uh, practitioners that are tried and tested using information that was handed on down to them for generations. So as you're able to do these things, there's abilities that the human body has that can do wonders. For one example, when you talk about medicine, people just talk about the little medicine, the roots or the faith healing type stuff. I'm talking about big medicine where you talk about clairvoyancy, or you're even talking about telepathic abilities. But then you're also even talking about throwing energy. Now, there was a big rock, and my dad used to take me to this place, and it was a big rock by 4 feet, 5 feet tall, but it was round all the way around, circular. And it was in the middle of the sagebrush. And I asked him one time, I said, "What's this? Where'd this rock come from? How come there's nothing else around here? Where could it have rolled from?" He sat down. We sat down, and he told me where we were, and what we were doing there, and how the people that lived there before were very powerful people. And he said there was another group that lived up in Doyle, California. This was owned by Susanville, probably 150 miles from here. And he said that when Washoes got to a certain point, they got so good at their skills and their masters at it that they had to like sharpen their knife. You have your sharpener every once in a while and just keep the blade tuned up. Same thing with our mind and our heart. We got to do the same thing. So this group here, every once in a while, would throw that rock from here all the way to Doyle, California. And the family in Doyle, California would have to be ready, knowing when it's coming, feel it, and be able to stop it when it gets there. And when it does, then they have the ability to throw it back this way, and we'd have to do the same thing. And that way, it gave the two groups that ability to know that they're staying tuned in on the information that they were given over time that was supposed to be medicine in the light. We don't practice dark medicine because that's more of a witchery type stuff, and anything done in the dark and can't be done in front of people is got to be paid attention to. So some people may be doing it for the right reasons, but like I said, the native population, we were always integral. So everything we did, we didn't have to wonder what someone was doing in their house because we always had somebody that was connected to somebody that was connected to them. So if they're doing something wrong, integrally, we all knew it, and the person doing it would stop it before anybody would confront them. Because if you were ever confronted in our community, our territory, you were banished or you were stoned to death. If you were a witch, if you were a doctor and you had patients and 3 of them died, after the third one, the charge was you either stoned to death or you left, you banished. So, people didn't just practice this because they wanted to practice. They practiced because they knew they could do it, and they knew they could stay in light, and that's how our medicine was. We always maintained light medicine, and so that we can always communication between everything and anything is always available. So just staying connected in your heart to the spirit allows you to keep open to all those other areas of medicine that you may have to pick up, whether it be medicine, whether it be spiritual, whether it be metaphysical, whether it be, you know, um, uh, making whatever it is and passing it on or whatever, you know.
Okay.
Transferring. We used to manage the land with the roots and stuff too, like that. We have so many different things growing here that we had to manage that, because if you take too much, it won't grow anymore. So as you harvested these things, you made sure that you left and you make sure you did it right, so that that species was ensured to continue on, as well as the use and gathering and the process of it.
Okay, I have another question from the audience. The audience is asking from Soil, right? He's saying, "What is the true purpose of drugs slash herbs in native culture?" That's what the audience wants to know. They want to say, okay, so was there any type of psychedelic affecting substances? I know we talked about peyote and stuff earlier, but the audience wants to know about, is was there any herbs? Like, what was herbs, drugs? I mean, the people are curious about these type of stuff. So. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
All things are coming from plants and stuff. When you call it drugs, that's a scientific version of after they've um, transmuted it into whatever synthetic or whatever language you want to turn it into. But for us, everything on earth is useful. You have to have something to be able to help you in these areas that are going to need that certain thing released. Not everybody had to use psychedelics or hallucinogens, but some people, you needed to do that to break them free from whatever it was they were stuck in order to release that. And medicine people that use that medicine that did have those psycho uh, effects, they were doing it for a reason. They weren't doing it just to be going there. And now all these things, they're not there, and we don't again look at things as a form of drug per se, because we never had abuse. Nowadays in this world, you have good things, but people can still abuse it. So that's why they have laws and say they call it drugs. And now they want to say marijuana was a drug, but now they're saying they can go ahead and give it to everybody because they know how to prescribe it to you. It's so interesting how the information that we're being given, that we accept it the way we're given to it, given to us. When we're not listening to spirit, we're listening to man. So for us to remember what it is that it is, we only listen to spirit, and the spirit never did tell me that was drugs. So for us, we always continue to use the medicine, the natural herbs, the foods, everything, even the articles of things that we find got power. You know, they don't have no psychoactive elements, but yet they're all psychoactive things that happen to a person because of it. So, is it the drug? Is it the chemical in the medicine that's doing that, or is it the unseen metaphysical energy that's in that symbolism of that thing that's causing that psychoactive response, or is it actually the communication that the spirit is having, that it's able to relate to things and not look at it as being something wrong? We have to find out the reason why. What is that? What is it doing? What is it telling me? And
Okay.
that way we're always constantly allowing ourselves to become better at what we are, instead of getting stuck in one place and saying, well, that's that and that's all there is to it, and I'm not going to look at it any other way.
Okay.
Every yeah.
Okay, Mr. Monigo, I have another question from NN. I have another question. Let me get some more quick. I got another question. NN says, can I ask you about the star seeds or star people? And he said the people come from the stars. And he also said, then do you think if these people exist, are they going to be revealed to the public anytime soon? Are they going to be revealed to the public? So tell me about star seeds, star people, and if they ever come forward to the public.
I don't know. I like to call star seeds and star people the ones that are enlightened already here on Earth that are trying to get people awake and trying to show people what it is that they can do. Because not many people are connected to the Earth the way that the native population is in this country because they've gotten so many things for free and everything a lot easier. But you know, uh, kind of lost my train of thinking there. What was your question again? I lost my train of thought. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Pelu, can you hear me?
He must have asked a question and ran off.
I
Can
know.
you hear me? Oh, can you
Oh,
hear me?
so the star
Oh, I'm.
people, he said.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
Star people.
star people. Sorry, when you
Yeah,
said that,
because
I went off into another area. But the star people, for me, when we're talking about star people, all these people that are coming to Earth, I myself communicate with those things out there. So I know anybody and everybody that's coming to Earth that he calls star people, they got to be those ones that know that they're going to be part of the awakening that's here on Earth. It's not just star people. There's those that are already here, those that are coming, those that want to come, those that have been chosen to be here. Uh, Everybody is in the design pattern they're supposed to be in. So as you hear and see these names, you got to figure out where they fit in the matrix of the new paradigm that's coming. Because it's not just about one, it's about all the aspects of every different one that's coming and coming together. Because when they all come together, then we'll all recognize. We're dividing each other now or separating each other now like Americans did when they came to this continent. And that's again we don't need to do because cosmically we're not even from Earth. So if we want to call ourselves star seeds, we might as well call ourselves that because you know we're not from Earth either. We were put on Earth to grow too and experience.
hmm,
So this period of time where they're talking star seeds, I think I've met a few of them and some of them are very enlightened because I see it in their eyes. It's like a twinkling of a star in the sky, but in the daytime.
hmm. Hey, okay, we have
So
another question from NN. We have another question. We have another question that's similar. Let me ask you this then: do you think there was communication between ancient civilizations of Asia and the native peoples of the Americas? Do you think Asia
oh
and
yeah,
America in
oh yeah,
ancient
we
times
went
had
over there.
communication?
We went over there when they had that land bridge. We went over there and visited and came back. That's how we got relatives over there. They got relatives over here too.
So they got relatives because they visited during the land bridge.
But we didn't come from over there. We were already here. We
Okay,
went
so
over and visit.
the theories that people have about the natives coming from Central Asia into the Americas, that's the natives have a different rendition of history.
Well, we have the original one. The other one you're listening to is the one that's telling you the story that you've been listening to all these years, which isn't always the truth. History books has never told the truth on all aspects, and sometimes when you say things, it's like it's in concrete, like that's a fact. If they
No, no,
gave the native
no,
people a chance to speak about all their oral history, you'll find out a lot of the stories that the people made in this country are false.
no. Okay, okay. Hey, that's why you here. That's why you're here to dispel the myths because we don't know. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because we don't know because all we know is what we read in whatever books we can find on the topic. You know what I'm trying to say? But
yeah,
we
yeah.
need your voice on it. We need you to come tell us what your traditions say and educate us about these things. Okay, I have another question. Right? They said to ask you who was the top three most iconic native Indians and briefly what they done and achieved to be remembered in history. So, what are the three most iconic Native Americans that you think of?
Wow.
Three most iconics, and
There's,
and why
there-
and why would you rate them so?
I'd have to go probably back into where um the one man that I really liked was Tecumseh, and he was coming from the east this way to bring the tribes together, but he didn't finish his job, so he was one of them. Um, Sitting Bull was another good one, but his people didn't listen to him when he would give him vision. So it's kind of hard because you got a great man, but you got the lack of people believing in your vision. So he was another good guy, and then Crazy Horse was another one. He was another good uh, representative because they used to call him Crazy Horse, but they didn't. His name was Crazy Horse, but the reason they called him that because his horse would be in both worlds when he went to war, went to battle. So that's why he never got killed. And when he was in that, his horse would look like in and out of this world. So it was crazy, looked like distortion. So that's what they would call him, Crazy Horse. But he would wear out horses. Apparently, he had to get more horses than normal. Yeah,
Okay.
that. I mean, there's so many representatives that done so many great things. Even Oral Lyons, he's doing a good job, but he's getting old, and I wish I could help him in some ways, because he's living in the nowadays and trying to provide a message when you know I don't know how we're going to be able to get the heart back into our wanting to return back to a source of identity that's allowing ourselves to um, govern ourselves again. As we let the spirit do that, we were governed by the Indigenous Corporation of America, which is the spirit was the president, and the animals and all the plants were the Congress, and we were the workers. We were the administration. We've carried out everything for the nature.
Okay. Okay. Well, Mountain Eagle, you know, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. It's been great. It's been great. We still have so much. It's such a big topic. Everything we're doing, and we want to continue with you and continue with your work. Hey Jen,
Yeah.
you want to go?
No, yeah, it's a great conversation. We definitely want to have you back and schedule more discussions, but I am going to wrap up because I do have to get up in the morning.
Yeah, make
So
sure you guys
yeah.
get a hold of Jose to send him that link because I told you he'd want to get on, and you guys would really
Yeah,
love
yeah,
him.
definitely,
Yeah, definitely.
definitely.
Absolutely. We would love to
And then
have that happen.
Robert White Mountain up in South Dakota. I know he'd like to get on too. I just have to make contact with him too.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Well, we could definitely get a hold of you, and try to organize the next one. Maybe have some new guests on.
Well, you'll be always open. I'm always open to you guys. So just let me know. Like I said, if you have questions and stuff, I'd rather give you my best honest part of it instead of just letting people say what I've always hearing people say. Well, we got sovereignty. They can't do this. We do this. Oh my God, here we go again.
Right,
You know,
right. And it
we
is
have
a
to do what
very
the factual thing so that we can build on it. Not
exactly, exactly. And we're glad that we can help get that truth out there.
you
Definitely.
getting there. You're doing a good job. So thank you guys very much.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming and spending the last 3 hours with us. We're honored. And yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
those guys that were bugging me on the phone when I'm talking, nobody even come on. Oh my God.
that's okay. Maybe we'll try to organize it a little better next time and
Well, I
get
think they're
things
I think they're camera
prior.
shy at what they are. They're probably listening, but not.
Yeah, that's well. They don't have to come on camera. They could stay with their cameras off. That's no problem.
I'm the only one that is a camera lush.
Well, that's great.
All right. Thank you
Well,
guys. Blessings to you
thank
both.
you. Yes,
You're
bless.
welcome.
You know.
Thank you for everything.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank you
so
guys.
much.
Keep talking.
And
We'll
big
talk
up
to you again then.
chat.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Definitely. We'll
Read
be
the
in.
document. We'll be able to talk better.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need a lawyer to help me read that doc.
You can imagine how I was.
I know. It's tough, but I will try. I definitely will. I'm trying. I'm trying. So,
Mainly, it's just absorb it and see how it feels for the things that's had happened to you with the
mm,
little bit of that you do know, and it's pretty much the same thing. The relation, just seeing who is the ins and outs of who did it.
yeah, definitely.
So, all right, blessings, guys.
All right, bless. Take
All right,
care.
blessings.
All right,
Pleasure.
take
All right,
care.
Bye
Look
bye.
forward to hearing you again.
Yeah,
yep, of
we'll
course.
definitely be in touch, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Well, yeah,
Yep.
another great show with the Honorable Mountain Eagle. Awesome information. We went through a lot tonight. Good stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
we're gonna continue with some native stuff and other stuff too. Stay posted. Please subscribe to the lovely Miss Jen Wallace.
thank you. And thank you so
The
much to my
lovely Miss-
co-host
Yeah.
for
We'll
helping
we'll
together.
keep bringing people to you. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm sorry for keep running over. Yeah, be welcome. You're welcome. We'll keep bringing some good content for you. And shout out to a Fax Chamber team, especially NN, for hooking us up. You
Yeah,
know.
definitely big up NN for this. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Respect. Respect.
yep, again, special shout out to Wolf, our friend Wolf. A special shout out to our friend Wolf.
Definitely.
And then everybody showed up. Everybody who came and showed up. Jab Blaze, Carter. I remember Dr. Mason showed up earlier. Who else showed up? Soul,
Yep.
Mr. T, Justice. Everybody who's there before. I hope I don't forget everybody's name. Mike Smith when he was here. Dora Jackson, Emma Smith, everybody.
I
Uh,
do keep
uh,
always come through. Pick up
Sunny came through.
Sunny, Purple Pill.
Everybody
Yep.
at Purple Pill. Everybody came through. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for coming. We're trying to do good things. Dr. Sheena. Thanks, Dr. Sheena Mason. She came earlier. Thanks, Catherine Rice. Everybody. I think that's everybody we got. Thanks
Yeah.
everybody.
All
Good
right,
night.
you guys. I'm gonna call it a night.
Yep,
I'm out.
it's a good time.
Yeah,
All
no
right.
doubt. All right. Good night, everyone. Big up. Peace.
Peace out.